Well, I do not know exactly what it is, but for some reason here, I have been plagued with technical difficulties only here on the business for the last couple of weeks. So, if you didn't know better, you swear somebody does not want me to get the message out, but too bad for them. I'm going to go ahead and get that out anyway. All right, tonight's program here is about one Carlissa Safford, also known as the mother of one rapper named Blueface. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this tonight is because this is really emblematic of a big issue here. It really, really is. This is a picture that this 26-year-old young man's mother posted. And they've been going round and round. It's really, really weird. It's really, really creepy. But I got to say one more thing. It is also way more common. Disturbingly more common. This mother, wife, son, husband thing. Way more common than it should be here. For those of you who don't know, it's been a contentious relationship between Blueface and his mom. There's his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Krishan, fighting his sister. So needless to say, Thanksgiving has never been the same. His mom, of course, and there's his new girlfriend, which is actually the old girlfriend. I think he just proposed to marry her with a blow pop BBL. That's very, very cute. I want to start there, though. I want to start there because Blueface is rather proud of his work there. He's rather proud of it. He's rather proud that he's spent, allegedly, $30,000 on it. And, well, I'm not so sure if he got his money worth out of it, but he seems to be rather proud of it. Now, he spent $30,000. Now, that part would be noteworthy on its own, except his mom has decided that she will weigh in, because what mother would not want to jump in to discuss his girlfriend's botched booty lamery? I don't know what it is. And there's a reason why folks are saying that, because when you take a look at it, his mom has this to say. And this is from Rolling Out. Blueface blasts his mom for comparing her bare butt to his girlfriend's. So as you see, his mom claimed that she did that accidentally. I promise I did not moon y'all for clout. She's talking about, hell, my daddy just called me about seeing my old rusty ass. That was an accident I sent to my husband. Y'all ain't worth my ass for clout. Well, of course, now you've been immortalized and that happened. But then it goes down even further. As you can see, Blueface, who has been having a running gun battle with his mother now for years, since he kicked his mom and his sister out of his house, he said, old lady booty cheeks. And he's putting up the emojis for that. To which his mother responds. This is a 51-year-old woman responding to her 26-year-old son and his girlfriend, but his 26-year-old son, this is a woman's 51 years old. Now, I said it was accident, BN, but it look better than the one you spent your life savings on. So I can only assume that she is referring to this. Looks better than the one you spent your life savings on. This is his mother. This is his mom. He's 26. She's 51. You wouldn't know. by looking. You wouldn't know. He then responds like any of the rest of us would. And he says, why are you comparing your booty cheeks to the lady I sleep with every night? That's a little creepy. LOL. What is the correlation? Very good question. To which she says, keep trying me and I'll post the before pictures. I gave you a head start, MF. Keep playing. This is his mom. This is his mother. But that is not really the crux of why I'm doing this program tonight. That's not really the reason for it. The article goes on to say here that after a multitude of fans questioned the validity of Saffold's mistake, with some suggesting that the mother bared her backside on purpose, Saffold retorted with anger. If you can't accept it, kiss it. Leave me the F alone. This is a 51-year-old woman going on 13. Then she reaches out to Blueface's sister. Calloway, please tell these people it was an accident, that I'm not that desperate for clout. And then you see this. Now, I want you all to take a look at this response here. She said, when they say she's getting ready to go live in 3, 2, 1, no, I ain't. I said it was an accident. Stop acting like y'all ain't never seen y'all mama black ass before. Now, here's the question that I have for everyone here listening to me live or recorded. If you want to know the reason why I'm doing this program tonight, it's because I want to put this part in its proper perspective. And this is where you all come in. By a show of hands in the chat room tonight, all of you who have seen your mother's bare rear end outside of a nursing home with some negligent CNAs, if you have seen your mother's bare naked backside as she walked around the house or posted on social media, please give me the thumbs up emoji in the chat room. Now, if you have never seen your mama's naked backside in your life, give me the red X emoji in the chat room. Okay, Mahogany Foster, Earthkin, what's going on here? When S gets Raya, okay. Some of y'all say you have. Oh, One Love, that explains a lot. Oh, never mind, I think One Love just showed up. Never mind. He'll catch on in a minute and be like, hey, wait a minute. Some of y'all have. Most of you haven't, but some of you have. Some of you have. And therein is what I want to discuss here tonight. That's what I want to talk about here tonight. Because I don't think that's a very healthy thing. I don't think that's healthy at all. I really, really don't. When your mother has erased the line of distinction between herself and her children, there goes your worldview. Okay. Let me ask something a little bit different here. You know, we're gonna go tripsing down the rabbit hole just a little bit here tonight. I'm gonna do this for a reason, though. I'm not doing it to be salacious. I'm doing this for a reason because I want to put this in its proper context. If you have ever heard your mother, and I know this is going to be a little icky here, but I got to go there. If you have ever heard or seen your mother publicly discussing her sex habits, whether she is married or not, if you've ever heard your mother publicly discussing her sex habits, I want you to give me the bullhorn emoji in the chat room. Don't say never. Don't say you never have. We're not here to get general discussions. I only want to see a comment from those who say that they did. Everybody else, you don't need to comment right now. This is not your time to shine. But if you have ever heard or seen your mother publicly discussing her sex habits, live in front of other people on social media, whatever the case may be, if you've ever heard your mother doing that, give me the bullhorn emoji in the chat room. Everybody else doesn't need to comment. Damon7, everyone else, don't get yourselves kicked out of here. This is not your time to sit up here and act stupid. Everybody else, we don't need comments. I only want to see the bullhorns if that's the case. Everyone else, clout chasing will make sure you never get seen again. So you might want to think that one over. Clout chasing went wrong for his mama. It might go wrong for you. But for everyone else here, if you have seen or heard your mother discussing her sex habits, give me the bullhorn emoji. Needless to say, that is certainly more than it should be. That's certainly more than it should be. The problem with a female as a single mom, the problem with that as a female as a single mom or who has adopted a single mom mentality is that she doesn't have a proper and appropriate sexual outlet. She's probably been sexualized herself at a young age. And because of that, her emotional growth hasn't just been stunted, it has been halted altogether. Now you have a grown woman who identifies as a kid. Let me say it again. You have a grown woman who identifies as a kid. Your mother is not supposed to be running around slanging her butt cheeks in front of you as her children, because your parents are supposed to establish a line of distinction between you and them for one simple reason: to make it clear that you and they are not peers. That is the establishment of respect, is to make it very clear that your parents are not your peers. When your parents make it clear through their daily actions, how they carry themselves, how they perform, how they present themselves in public, how they present themselves as your parents, that they are not your peers, that they are above you, that is what establishes respect. Because your parents have made it very clear that they do not see themselves as your peers, nor do they wish to be your peer. That they've set themselves up as your parent. But where things go skidding off the rails is when you have a parent who emotionally and psychologically and physically is demonstrating that they didn't make it past that point. And it is the reason why you establish the boundary with your children that you are not their peer is because your children do not respect their peers. Now, if you're a person who is still emotionally stunted to the reading rainbow years, you probably think that that can happen. Your children don't respect their peers. Your job is to establish yourself as their parent, that you are not here to be liked. Your children like their peers, but they don't respect them. You are here to be respected above all other things, and if you are liked, that's a bonus. But you cannot do your job as a parent, as an authority figure, if you are not respected. You can't have authority over someone who sees you as their peer. That's the point. So you see, when the mama starts getting up here trying to show that she's still in the race with younger chicks who are in the race, at that point, mama's devalued herself. The mother has devalued herself when she starts putting herself into a position that I'm here to compete against these peers. I'm here to do that. I'm here to compete. That I haven't exited the arena and assumed another position. That's the problem. When the mother does that, that's problematic. That is problematic. And now you have a son who is looking at a mother who he is more mature than she is. That's a shameful, disgusting situation to be in. A son who is more mature than his mother is. I want to show you all something here. So you can take a look at this. I want to show you something here. This is Blueface with his mama. This is him with her. This is him with her. And I just thought I would make some observations here. I just want to make a couple of observations and then we'll get back to it here. But if you want to know how it is that something like this can occur, Blueface has gone off on his mom a number of times, and he has made the point that his mother had 3 kids by 3 different dudes. That his mom has had 3 kids by 3 different men. To the women listening, it can seem very, very tempting to make emotional, impulsive decisions that if you embrace immaturity, well, the rest of the world will play along with you. Understand something. A male's respect for his mother is not social as much as it is biological. Your son's respect for you is biological. It is not so much social. What I'm trying to tell you is that there are certain rules that simply cannot be circumvented. When a son sees his mother trying to express herself as a sexual being, he loses respect for her as the mother figure. You see, what makes you separate and apart from other females is that with your children, you are not a sexual being. What makes you special to your husband or your boyfriends is that, unlike their sisters, hopefully, you are a sexual being. But a boy, a man cannot respect a mother who attempts to assume a sexual being. A mother who is vying for sexual attention, you can be screwed up and whacked off in the head. You can be that, but you cannot be a respectable being. If you all believe that that is an accurate statement, give me the thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's 2,500 people in here live right now. If what I just said is gospel truth, give me the thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. If you don't agree, that's perfectly fine too. I can go ahead and wrap it up early because apparently I have technical troubleshooting to do. But I just thought I would throw that point out there. I just thought I would throw that out there because I think that's important. I think it's important to make that distinction because if you want to know how it is that your son can have little or no problem with his girlfriend beating up you and his sister, if you want to know how it is he can do that with no distinctions, because he does not see you as his mother. He sees you as some chick he knows. But he does not see you and respect you as his mother because you have demonstrated that you don't have any respect for the position of mother. Mother comes with responsibilities. Mother comes with responsibilities. There is a reason that a daughter cannot respect a father who is absentee, because as the masculine being, your job is to demonstrate to the little feminine beings that you are raising that the masculine being's responsibility, its chief responsibilities, are protection and provision. That's supposed to be reflexive. The problem is it's not. And if your daughters have a father who abandons his masculine position, it is impossible for her to have respect for that father. She can't. She can't. Because she cannot respect a masculine authority figure who abandons his masculine responsibilities. If you want that masculine respect, then you've also got to abide by those masculine responsibilities. That's the difference. Every other male, when she makes that estimation of them, that's going to be the number one thing she's going to look for. And if you have not upheld that, she's going to have a biological response to that. She's going to have a biological response that's not who you are. I can't trust you in that capacity. That's not who you are. That's the issue. If that's not who you are, then do not expect your daughter to be able to submit to you, because you've established yourself as one of her peers. And your daughter cannot respect her peers. That's the issue. If you want to have respect, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. And I'm going to get into the costs of not having that respect. I'm going to get into the cost of that, because that is not something that just happens and goes away. That's a serious issue. That's a serious issue. I want you to take a look on your screens right now, and you take a look at his mother. You take a look at his mom, and you tell me, what type of energy is she projecting? I'm not going to try to cast aspersions right now, but I'd like you to take a look at that, and you tell me what type of energy you feel that the mother is projecting in this picture. I think the picture over on the left is rather telling, but I think the picture on the right is even more so. And I want to take a moment to delve into that. First of all, Blueface has the mama's boy mushroom. He's got the mama's boy mushroom haircut because, like all mama's boys today, the mother gives them this semi-effeminate hairstyle because that's the best that she can think of. No dissing on him, I'm just saying. But I want you all to take a look at those pictures there and tell me what exactly do you see is the energy that she's projecting? What's the energy she's projecting? I'm going to tell you what I see. In the chat room, Dreddy Bean said her savior. All right, let me explain to you all. If you want to know why it is that this mother-wife dynamic is in play here, if you want to know why that is, it's because mom can't really help herself in that regard. What I want to do is I want to show you from her Instagram. I want to show you some of the stuff that she posted from her Instagram. This is from hers. It got put up on the Neighborhood Talk, but this is from hers. May of last year. May of just last year. So she's gone to Instagram to go show off, allegedly, a shiner black eye, allegedly, that she got from the aforementioned altercation. She went to social media because that's the most important place that she could go. And then they show some of the comments that she made. All I know is my son will never bring that person around my family ever again in life, and that's all that matters. Carry on. And neither will the police or the judge. The end. Okay. Mother is definitely unhappy about the altercation. We got it. But she doesn't stop there. Blueface, baby, that's her son, Blueface. I will never forgive you for what you did to your sister, and I guess that's her husband. Never, life, and I pray God has mercy on your soul. This is his mother. This is his mother. Weighing in. This is mom now. Now, here's what she says next. She says, Jonathan, that's her son's name, I believe. You need help, and if I have enabled you in any way, I will ask God for forgiveness. You brought that trash bag and her dog where I laid my head and paid rent through helping you build your business. And I asked you more than 10 times to get her out my face, and you sicked that girl on me like a vicious dog. I never believed them about you, but now I see. You are the living devil that I got pregnant with after that abortion. You haven't paid me ever since September for working in that restaurant, and my husband, but put his own money into it. Ma'am, if you're going to go viral, if you're going to go vicious, at least go back and read it. Proofread, please. I will see you in court. Now post the beginning where you punched your sister and husband until they are hospitalized for coming to ask you about me. This is his mom. You sick that girl on me like a vicious dog. I never believed them about you, but now I see. You are the living devil that I got pregnant with after that abortion. An absolute mark of a woman's immaturity is when she goes and starts discussing her sex habits, her sexual history, her sexual behavior. When she doesn't make a line of distinction between her sexual behavior and the world, there's no doubt that she's making no line between her sexual behavior and her son. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Those two things go hand in hand. And if you want to know why there are so many screwed up boys out here today, it is because they have seen their mothers presenting themselves as sexual beings. They've grown up watching their mamas walk around in lingerie. They've grown up watching their mamas go to the beach in bikinis. They've grown up listening to their mamas get their butt cheeks slapped down the hall. I said it. Their mother does not behave like their mother. Their mother behaves like their sister, their slutty, down, gutter sister. Which is a lot of the dynamic that you kind of see between Blueface and his mom. She actually it seems in a lot of ways like a sibling rivalry. Only she kind of takes it a little bit further than that, because she's talked about the kind of woman that her son needs to be with. She names other females, but in reality, it just seems like she kind of just saying that no one's good enough for her son except for her. By the way, but be that as it may, she then goes on to say, if this how he treats me after all I do, I feel sorry for his hood, because wait until he turn on y'all. So is this supposed to be his mom trying to turn the neighborhood against him? Is this supposed to be his mom trying to turn the neighborhood against him? What is she trying to say here? What is she trying to say that the neighborhood needs to do? Now that she said that, by the way, what exactly are you trying to say here? What do you think you're going to have happen here? I'm just a little curious, because now you've gone from talking about your son, addressing your son, to addressing the neighborhood. I just thought that was very, very interesting for a woman who is supposed to be his mother. And you would think that if she actually respected that position, which she clearly doesn't, then she would be making a line of distinction, and she would be putting more distance between her son and this herself and this image with her son. In reality, she's never done that at all. Now, granted, Blueface's mother is an extreme example, but she is hardly an isolated one. She's an extreme example, but she is hardly an isolated one. I submit to you today that she is representative of female culture today. I submit to you that she's representative of that. Allow me to explain. These pictures here say a lot. What I want you to understand is how the dynamic works. I want you to understand how this dynamic works. And the manner in which this dynamic works is, understand that you're talking about a chick with nasty sex habits, a high body count, sexually degenerate behaviors, multiple men allowed to leave their DNA inside of her. So some of that schizophrenic, reckless behavior, that emotionally, mentally imbalanced, poor mental health, reckless behavior, bastard babies and STDs go hand in hand. So after a woman has done that for decades, men now they just scatter from her. What she's looking for is a real, true, masculine, genuine masculine being, and she's no longer really qualified for that. So now she has to turn to somewhere else to get that, because at the end of the day, she is still a woman. And in this case, she would have been around, 23 when she had him? 23, 24 when she had him. So she was still a young female. By the time he's 10 years old, she's still relatively young. No spring chicken, but relatively young. And she's been wanting to express herself as a sexual being, but there isn't any man. Now, here's the key words for everyone listening. There isn't a man who is able or willing to reward her for it. Sleeping with her is not rewarding her for it. If she's going to be a sexual being, there has to be somebody who rewards you for that. There has to be a benefit for that. And she has not been eligible for it. So what ends up happening? All you have are your kids around. That becomes your social circle. And before it's over, you stop seeing your son as a subordinate in your social circle. You spend so much time around him that you see and she's got 2 sons, you see them as your peers. Now, Blueface is a bit different. As you can see, his mama was obviously no good. Your son is sitting up here with tattoos all over his face. And look at his mother. Does his mother seem the slightest bit perturbed, thrown off, or whatever, that your son is standing next to you with tattoos from head to toe? Don't you see there's a problem there? Don't you see there's an issue here? There are no boundaries. Where are the boundaries? Well, now problems have been complicated because you see, Blueface might not be the most mature individual out there, but here's the problem that this woman faces. And I think a lot of you take a look at, for those of you who were putting up bullhorns earlier, for those of you who were putting up thumbs up and bullhorns earlier, I think you'll start to see some similarities here. Blueface is the most successful male that she has ever had contact with. Her son is the most successful male that she has ever had personal contact with. There's not 10 or 12 of them. He's the only one. He's the most, not just a little bit. He is outrageously successful compared to anything else she's ever been able to come close to. He is wildly successful. There isn't anyone that she can name who is successful on the same level as him. And let me be very, very clear and specific about what I mean. Blueface is successful not just financially, but also socially, career-wise, physically. He's obviously not short. So on all these levels, compared to anybody, including the dude who got her pregnant, he is wildly successful. He is completely in a league of his own. So you got a son, he's in the prime of his life, in his prime years. He didn't become an old man and finally having to wait till the sugar daddy pension came through. This is a young man who was able to get papered up early. He's got the attention of females all around the country and all around the world. And she's never been near or around somebody like this. Never. Now you add to it the dynamic that she feels that he's her peer and that she is supposed to be the most important woman to him because she is depending on her son for protection and provision because she has failed to qualify for it among anybody else. You take a look over her life. She's had 3 kids by 3 different males. Those are just the ones she got pregnant by. Can you imagine the body count? So now at 50 years old, she got to look for somebody who's solid. Blueface went on video and said, by the way, mama, you had 3 kids by 3 different dudes. You're a whore. And that fella that you married is a bum. Yeah, she's married, but Blueface sat there and said, he's a bum. So Blueface doesn't respect his mother. He sized up his mama's husband and said, this nigga ain't about nothing. And by the way, we know it's true because his mother hasn't actually been able to say any special accomplishment or accolade. Everything that this stepfather got is connected to Blueface. So, not a whole lot of accomplishment of his own going on there. It's not like he's got a name for himself on his own. So the son can see. The son can see what the mother is because she didn't put up those lines of distinction and those boundaries. She's treated him like her peer, and that's what you end up with. Well, what do you do when your son is now turning his attention towards somebody other than his mother? So now, not just with one female, Krishan, this Jaden chick who I think was in the picture before, and then he gets with Krishan, now he's back with her, I guess. But what do you do when your son is the biggest producer, the only real producer and respected, admired, masculine figure that you've had connection to? What do you do when now he's telling the world that he is turning his attention and turning his productivity and his abilities towards another female? That he's going to take care of his girlfriends. I guess this girl is now his fiance. He's now going to turn that attention towards her. He's going to direct that energy towards her. His mama is counting it. For those of you who ain't figured it out, his mom is counting it and saying, wait a minute. I was counting on him doing like them dudes in the NBA and reserving all that productivity and all the benefits of it for me. That he was going to be my meal ticket. He's going to be my retirement program. That when these men leave, because it's very easy to leave an old chick who's been worn out. Let's explain what the real problem here is. Ma'am, you can sit up here and swing your musty butt cheeks around all you'd like to, but at the end of the day, those are 51-year-old butt cheeks that I blurred out. 51. Not 21. 51. 51. This is the part you don't get. You see, when you see your baby mama and your mama and your granny out here trying to express themselves as sexual beings, they've lost touch with reality. Ma'am, you're not qualified to compete against females half or a third your age. You see, you need to have that kind of sexual ability, but here's the bottom line. There isn't a 26-year-old male on the planet who is actively out saying, damn, I wish I could find a 51-year-old to make a lifetime commitment to. That's the problem. That's the idiocy of it. That's the madness. That's the insanity. You can do this all you want to, ma'am, but the bottom line is there is not a male in his prime of his life who is looking for a 51-year-old pair of cheeks to invest in. Truth be told, there aren't very many men in their 30s, 40s, or 50s looking for a 50-year-old pair of cheeks to invest in. So what you're looking for is a guy who doesn't have any other options, or he's a fool who doesn't recognize he has other options, which really means he doesn't have any. Blueface is the top of the pyramid of males that she has been able to attach herself to or gain proximity to. And that's the reason why, as shameful as it is, as ridiculous as it is, as unbelievable as it is, his mother is going back and forth with him online like she's his girlfriend. Because you see, we're about to get into some icky territory here, folks. We're about to get into some icky territory, but I gotta go there. You see, she's not eligible to have a baby with Blueface. What? She's not eligible for it. So we all know what happens. I explained this to you here on my last program. What happens when a female needs the leverage of the system, but she ain't got it? How does she extract more benefits from Blueface when he's not her husband and she doesn't have a child with him? How do you force him to give you more benefits? How do you force it? How do you extract it? How do you demand that he give you more benefits? When you're not married to him and you don't have a child with him, how do you force this to occur? What happens when these females are unable to bully or force these men to give them their productivity anymore? They go on a smear campaign against you. They try to publicly humiliate you. They go at you left, right, and center. They threaten you. They're constantly trolling you. That's what I'm telling you. This is what you've seen from all the salty, hostile baby mamas or ex-wives out there who realize the system's not going to give them any more benefits from the man that they were with. So what do they do after that? They start going at you full time. Because there's nothing else that they can take from you. So now I'm just going to go at you. If this woman had better options, she would not be sitting up here talking to her son. She would be at home taking care of her husband. But there are several problems. There's several problems. First of all, she doesn't want the guy she's married to. Fellas, can we all agree right now, if your woman is online talking about her sex habits, showing booty pictures, opening up her sexuality to random strangers, don't you understand? You got a hoe on your hands. If I'm telling the truth, give me the diamond emoji in the chat room. If allegedly this is your woman now, This is the woman you're married to, and yet she is exhibiting her sexuality to the world. She's opened up her sex habits to anybody who wants to read about it. That's what she's doing in front of the world. And that's supposed to be your woman? That's supposed to be your woman. Don't you understand that what your woman is sending you a very clear message? You, sir, are not enough. You ain't man enough. Let me just say, you ain't man enough to satisfy that itch. I need to get validation from men with unquestioned masculinity, performance, admiration, respect among. I need that, and you don't have it. So I'm gonna see if I can get out here and get it for myself, because I've been around you and you ain't enough. You're not enough. I've tried to fool myself. I had to settle for you. I had to dumb it down. But the truth is, my son is telling the truth. Nigga, you's a bum. But you were the best I could do. And I guess you'll camouflage how raggedy my situation really is. But yeah. Imagine if you're married to this chick and she's exhibiting her sexuality in front of the world. This is your feminine representative? Something that's supposed to be specifically and only reserved for you. And without hesitation or reservation, she is going on the spree. And by the way, allegedly there's another picture of her somewhere out there, like naked on a bed, or with her naked rear end exposed on a bed somewhere. If anybody knows what that is, let us find out so we can take a look at it. Just so we can verify that, by the way, yeah, this isn't a one-time event. But there's a video of her that I've seen that she's twerking on some server or something, dressed up as a mariachi at a Mexican restaurant or something. I mean, she's out there all over the damn place. And this is supposed to be your woman. Fella, recognize when she is sending you a very clear message that you are not enough. You're not enough. She needs more. And what she's telling you is that, as sad as it is, she thinks that she raised a more valuable male to attach her reputation and her status to. Blueface's mama is not trying to attach her status to her husband. Even in the midst of this family feud, which, by the way, is every type of ugly there is, but that's another program. Even in the midst of this family feud, she would rather chase her son and talk about his accomplishments than anything else. Let me go ahead and explain to you exactly how this works so that you all understand that I'm not leading you down the wrong road. I want you to take a look at what she said here. If you take a look in the middle here. You brought that trash bag and her dog where I laid my head and paid rent through helping you build your business. So she's claiming that she helped Blueface to build his business. Well, that's very interesting. I'm glad to hear that, ma'am, because I feel like Jay-Z. So you say you built Hove. We'll build another one. If she's going to try to claim that she is the secret sauce that built her son, well, then it should be no difficulty for her to build another one. After all, you married this new fella here, and he is in absolutely no danger whatsoever of approaching where your son is. So if you really were an essential ingredient, then you should be able to do for your new husband what you allegedly, supposedly did for your son, right? Right? Because that's the version of the events you're trying to put out here, so you should be able to do that, right? Supposedly. No, your son is the top of the pyramid for your life. That's the best that you've been able to do. And that is why, despite your protestations and despite your best efforts, you really got to attach yourself and your status to him. It is a sickening situation here in the modern era where female culture today has degenerated and lowered itself down to the level of being peers with their children. That's never a good thing. That's never a good thing. Because the society needs mature women. A society cannot survive when its female class is a bunch of emotionally stunted, overgrown adolescent girls. You need to have actual women. Because a woman is an individual who recognizes her flaws, doesn't try to paper over them, because you cannot teach what you will not accept. That's the problem. His mother refuses to accept that she has made any mistakes. His mother refuses to accept it. When she goes in front of the world and will tell anybody who will listen that after she had an abortion, she had her son. This is not keeping it real. This is keeping it hoe. This is keeping it hoe. There's nobody except the other hoes reading this who are thinking that somehow this is okay. This is a terrible look. And then you recognize that there's some jackass out there married to this. Do you think his mother respects the man who can see what she is and yet has married her anyway? That's a question you need to ask yourself, because she should be too ashamed to be representing him that way. But it doesn't bother her. And the reason it doesn't bother her is because this is the man she's really committed to. Now, can we all just be honest about this? His mother does not believe that there is a rift between her and her son that is irreparable. His mother doesn't actually believe that. She believes that at any time that she wants to go and get her son back, if you will, that he will always be available. I mean, you know, she's sitting there at home with her husband telling him, I'm always going to be his mother. So you see, in her mind, anytime that she wants to go back and claim her son, she knows the buttons to press and she knows what to do. Now, whether or not she is miscalculating is a different discussion. But I will tell you one thing. Carlissa Safford may be an extreme example, but she's not isolated. Many of you were raised by a Carlissa. Many of you, Carlissa is your sister. Carlissa is your aunt. Many of you have been in this environment of a woman who wasted and squandered her youth, never grew up and matured, and now she's just this weird older female who is like an open fire hydrant blasting out water. She can't control her sexuality. That's the issue. See, we've gone way beyond just the old chicks trying to hang out at the club with the younger gals. We've gone way beyond that because the truth of the matter here is the dollar is now worth less than it's ever been. And there are a bunch of females out there who want to have a better life than they've ever had. But the number of males who can actually upgrade you is diminishing. Now, I'm not even going off into the details. I'm not even going off there. I'm not even going to go off into that. I'm just going to say, just based on what you see at face value, you can see what the problem there is. Just at face value. When a woman fails to reach adulthood, this is the inevitable result. This is the inevitable result. And right now, there is a huge push by the females who are not eligible to recruit a protector and provider from their own, to give birth to a protector and provider. But you see, that can't really work out if this male bonds to another female. Well, then that's going to just thwart your plans now, isn't it? So when you hear about folks like LeBron James and others and their mamas are acting real crazy and whatnot, it's because mother is accepting that, you know what? This nigga is not gonna be back. He's not trying to be my substitute husband. He's reserving all of that for that little floozy he married. He's for real about this. And that's when you see them trying to re-enter the sexual marketplace. It is raggedy. It is sloppy. It is shoddy. It's slapstick, but it is what it is. You cannot choose from the options you wish were available. You can only choose from the options that actually are. And at the end of the day, productive men can see what Carlissa is. They took a look at what she raised, and then they have to ask themselves, do I want her to do to my genetic legacy what she did to those other 3 men? Ladies, I want to tell y'all something here. Watch out when you get with a man who is willing to accept you without giving birth to his offspring. Watch out for that, because that man is sending you a very clear signal. He's sending you a very clear signal that he's not worried about trusting you with his genetic legacy. That is the biggest insult that a man can give a woman. That I do not trust you with my genetic legacy. I don't trust you with it. Because recognize, if he doesn't trust you with that, he doesn't trust you with anything else. That man does not trust you with anything else. Tell yourself whatever you want to. He doesn't trust you. And I have to go one more step here with it. When you show things like this, there are few things in this world worse than a crazy mother. Few things in this world worse than having a mother who is emotionally imbalanced and does not respect her position as the mom. It throws the entire family tree and dynamic into disarray. But it goes beyond that. I want you to understand that there is nothing in this world, in my opinion, folks, I can't think of anything worse than to have your children tell you how much they hate you. I can't imagine anything worse than your children who you've raised and nurtured and taught them how to walk and everything else. I can't, or if you did, maybe you didn't. I can't imagine a worse fate than for them to grow to the age of majority and they make it very clear that you are not their role model, that if there's anything they can do, they will avoid becoming like you. That they don't want, that these people, these little people who are the replication of you, do not want to be like you. That the lesson that they learn from your life is to never be like you. That's the lesson that they learned. That I never want to be like you. That's like a walking prison sentence. Many of you in here today, you've got children. Could you imagine your children being ashamed to talk about you? Hoping that other people don't bring you up because they're ashamed. Think about that for a few moments. It's one thing if your peers in school were ashamed of you or your coworker. That's one thing. Your children? The little beings who didn't know that the universe existed before you came along, and they are ashamed of you? As far as I'm concerned, your life just became worthless. What did you live for? If you were born and now you're heading towards the grave, and your children, who are your final report card on your life, are saying that we are the children, and we say, give this heifer an F. What did you live for? Why were you alive? What was the bother? Hell, what are you still breathing for? What's the purpose of you continuing to draw the breath of life other than to continue your own pathetic survival? You're surviving for what? I know a couple of women. I've had conversations with here recently, and they were explaining to me about their lives, and they were adopted, but they still had contact with their biological mothers. And I got to tell you, it was eerie. It was scary. It was downright frightening. Both of these women responded the same way. When they discussed their foster mothers, they basically would drop whatever they were doing to go see about this person. They've spoken about them with nothing but ravishing details. But when the subject of their biological mothers came up, they both referred to their biological mothers by their first names. And I got to tell you, every time I see or hear something like that, it just sends a little shock through me when I see people do that. Like Darlene Ortiz over there on Corey Holcomb's program. Every time she refers to her mother as Rosie, she doesn't call her mom, she calls her Rosie. Your child has disowned you. Like that scene from the movie Porky's. The teenager there, his father was beating him up and he was telling him in front of his friends, he said, "Don't disrespect me, I'm your father." And he said, "I wish you wouldn't say that in front of other people. It embarrasses me." I couldn't imagine that. For those of you who are parents, I couldn't imagine that. I don't know if you can. Could you imagine a situation? I've got nieces and nephews. I couldn't, and I didn't, fully raise them. I mean, I was there and everything, but obviously I wasn't their father. I had my brothers for that. But I couldn't imagine a situation. These little people that I was picking up, and in some cases, watching them when their parents went around. And I'm babysitting them sometimes, so I got to watch them grow up. Which, by the way, kind of makes you wonder if you had that to do all over again. I would have spent more time, by the way. If I had not a whole lot more time, but I would have spent more time. And imagine them getting older. At these little children who, they call me Uncle Jay. And then one day, I come by or I run into them or whatever, and I say, "Hey kid, how are you?" And they say, "Hey Jason." On the one hand, you want to say I'd slap their teeth out of their mouth, but on the other hand, I would just be crushed. I would be crushed like a beer can under a steamroller. Jason? What did I do? How far have I fallen that that's the way you would address me? What did I do to cause that? I would be questioning my existence. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't keep going. And those are just my nieces and nephews. I couldn't imagine if it was my biological children. And they've made it very clear, yeah, I'd rather eat razor blades than claim you. That is the greatest insult that you could ever encounter in your life. That is the proof that your life was wasted. That's the proof that you were wrong about anything and everything you ever thought about yourself. That's the proof of it. That's the proof of it. I'm reminded of the story from the movie Conan the Barbarian, where the king's daughter, the princess, joins she basically becomes a member of like a cult, and she goes taking off somewhere, and she goes running off, and the king, I want to say it's Conan the Barbarian and not Conan the Destroyer, but it's one of the Schwarzenegger Conan movies. There are only two of them. It's not hard to figure out. And he wants to pay Conan to retrieve his daughter. Yeah, I want to say that was Conan the Barbarian. She runs off with Thusla Doom. And Conan is kind of balking at going on this mission for this man, and the man throws a bunch of jewels or gold coins at him. Conan's talking about how much it would cost to do that, and the man throws a bunch of gold coins at him. And he says, it doesn't matter what it costs. I don't care. Take as much gold as you want. Just bring my daughter back. And then he says something. He says, there comes a time when the jewels lose their shine and the gold loses its luster, and the only thing a father wants is the love of his daughter. I want you all to understand that the second half of your lives, that first half of your life, is going to determine if that second half is even worth living. If you make mortal enemies of all the people who actually cared about you, if you become this narcissistic criminal who goes around destroying everything under every footfall, if you alienate your blood and your DNA and your legacy, if you do that, just understand the second half of your life won't be worth living. I cannot tell you all, and some of you have seen it here on my program, I can't tell you how many pathetic, utterly pathetic little old ladies that I've talked to who screwed off their 20s and their 30s and told themselves, oh, well, it don't matter. I'm just going to be the big fat mommy and we going to ride out like this. And then they just became pathetic old women. Because eventually the club, the beat, the dance, the beat, that thunderous beat from the dance club begins to lose its allure. And the likes and the hey chickie babies from the various men loses its excitement. And now you're not looking forward anymore. You're looking backwards to see, by the way, how far have I come? And then you find out you haven't come very far. Well, how much have I built? And you find out you haven't built very much. And then you ask, well, how much do I have? And you don't have very much. Now you're just this really weird, odd, whacked out little old lady. Stuck in front of your TV with your cats, stuck in front of your cell phone, flipping through Instagram, looking for new recipes with nobody to cook for, and houseplants with no one to see them except you. And even if you have a piece of a man hanging around, that's all you really got is a piece of a man hanging around, you do not respect him because he hasn't walked down this road with you. You see, you're talking about these children, but you see, the problem is these aren't his children. These are somebody else's. These aren't his children. And because they're not his children, you can't talk about when you and your son, when he was helping you to teach your son how to walk, when you and your son, when the three of you were teaching him how to walk, the three of you were teaching him how to do the shoelaces, the three of you, the first time you took him to the amusement park, the three of you, the first time you put them on their bicycle, the three of you, the first time you took them on the lake, the three of you, the first time that you took them to school, the three of you, he can't do that. He can't discuss any of those things. He is an alien to them. He can sit there and hold your hand and listen to you talk about it, but it will not be the two of you reminiscing. It'll just be you. That's when the weight of all of your idiocy and stupidity as a young woman, that's when the bill comes due. Now you've got this man, and it's like he's not invested in anything that you were doing there. He's not invested in that. Now you're sitting there trying to figure out how to just make it and cope with it. But he's not a part of that. These are your memories. These aren't anything you're sharing with anyone. And to make matters worse, if the children are now alienated from you, if your daughter is showing you that she would like to grow up to be anybody except you, when they're showing you that they would like to have an identity, but they don't want it with you. Think about that all these years. There's a bunch of females right now. It is pathetic, it is sad, and it's what you deserve because it's what you've been. Your children don't want to be anything like you. Blueface can see what his mother is, and he is mortified. He is embarrassed, as any male would be. He doesn't have a mother that you can look up to and he can say, hey, this is what all of y'all's mamas should be like. He has a mother who is a walking damn embarrassment because she cannot and will not control herself. And she never has. And now she at least needs to comport herself as an aging woman. And she, as you age as a woman, you're supposed to become more sophisticated, more dignified. And his mother is demonstrating that she is not progressing, she is regressing. And she obviously doesn't have any faith in that dude that she's with because her attention, her sexual energy is still being directed at her son. Her sexual energy is still being directed there. And this is far from an anomaly. You all see it all the time while you go to the restaurants. I ain't just talking about Cheesecake Factory. You go to the restaurants, you go to the shopping mall, you see all these baby mamas sitting up here and around, dragging their kids. If they get older as adolescents, dragging their sons. Nothing says failure like a woman walking through a store or a restaurant with a bunch of damn kids. And then, in a desperate attempt to try to redeem yourself from it there, you sit up here and scramble for the door to see if you can go get yet one more ride on the run-through rodeo and see if there's a man out there who's willing to accept you the way you are. Now your priority turns to, well, let me go see if I can get somebody to save me. Guess what? Your children can't respect that either. There's a whole bunch of chicks out there left their kids at home while they go to the damn dance club, while they're on Tinder, on the webcam, butt naked, trying to see if they can get themselves a date. You go to the beach and you've got women with absolutely no modesty whatsoever in front of their own sons. You supposed to feel some kind of way about that. You know why? Let me explain to you here why, folks. Because some of you were raised by some of these nasty ass hoes. And yes, I said it.
And deal with it, nigga.
So when I say, have you seen your mama naked? Yes, I have. Do you think that's a problem? No, that's just natural. To which I would ask to you all right now. So in other words, a minor seeing an adult naked, that's natural to you? Because R. Kelly is doing years right now. So if it's okay for the sons to see the mother naked, is it also okay for the daughters to see the father the same way? Oh no, if you're going to try to defend that, I'm like, okay, I won't even argue with you. By the way, there's two parents in the equation here. So if it's okay for the son to see the mother naked, then it's okay for the father, for the daughter to see the father the same way, right? Now, believe it or not, there are some folks who would sit up here and say, well, sure, that's just natural there. Really? That's just natural?
Boy, what in the hell's the matter with you?
Really? All right. Some of these folks around here, you better understand that the way in which you watched your mother behave, some of y'all, have you made peace with the fact that your mama was a screwed off individual who was doing a bunch of inappropriate, perverted things? And now you're out here in the world, and many of you have seen this. Let me go ahead right now. I'm going to go ahead and blow up the spot. I'm going to blow up the spot right quick. To all the fellas listening right now, how many of you have dated or married a chick who expressed those type of tendencies? That she expressed things like desire for a father or a relative in a sexual way. How many of you fellas have dated or married a chick and that was something she expressed? She tried to blow it off as if that's not an issue, but she said something like that to you. If you have, give me the bomb emoji in the chat room. I want to make sure there's no distinction. Fellas, for those of you, if you dated or been married to a female like that who expressed that kind of thing, give me the bomb emoji in the chat room. If you have seen that, you've been dating or you've been in a relationship with a chick who expressed that, give me the bomb emoji. That you've heard her make a little comment like that before. I want y'all to know the fellows are real slow here tonight because they're like, most of you have experienced that. Most of you have. Most of the fellows listening here have experienced that. You got some chick, she good to go, she hot to trot, she's easy to get in bed, and then one day they drop that little story on you. That means something. When you hear warning signs like that, you're not supposed to ignore that. When you hear warning signs, that means something. You don't just sit there and ignore that. Now, tell me, how do you put your son in the hands of a female like that? What is she going to do to your legacy? Well, the first order of business is she has to get rid of you. Once she has the son, because you see, the son will not have standards. You will, but the son won't. So in her eyes, first order of business, got to get rid of you. Fellas don't recognize that. Chicks don't become single moms for no reason. When they got a past, when they got a history, when it is weird, wacky, and nasty as hell, just understand something. Yeah, she doesn't really have a fella who's going to commit to her. Let me go ahead and grab the Stilla baby, and then let me get rid of you. Now I've got the kid and he's not going to have the same standards that you did. Let me go ahead and get rid of you. A lot of fellas out here have learned that the hard way. A lot of you fellas listening to me right now, you have watched as that weird, wacky ass chick that you had a child with, that you had a son with, she's over there grooming him. You're watching as she's turning him weak and effeminate so that he will never leave her. She wants to make sure that he never leaves her, that he's always attached to her, no matter how degenerate she is. And here you are on the outside looking in as she is trashing your genetic legacy, as she's destroying it right in front of your eyes. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the program all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. This is the one. I want to send a special shout out here tonight here. Thank you very much to Stephen Coachman for coming back. Big shout out here to Black Voltron and Tommy Felix. Thank you very much for your support in the super chat tonight. We appreciate that. Thank you very much here. You could have gone to the strip club and tricked it off. You all could have gone to the strip club tonight and tricked it off, but thank you very much for your support. Marlon S. and everyone else, thank you very much for your support as well. We appreciate that. Thank you very much for that as well. And I'll stay on here a little while longer to take some phone calls, although I will admit this is a touchy subject. It's a touchy subject because a lot of you fellas listening to me right now, you are not ready for manhood. You are deficient because you were your mama's little son husband. And now you're not ready to be the man of anybody's house. You're not ready to take on that responsibility. And to the girls out here, now the real crime tonight is when your mama has a son husband, it becomes essential to kick you females out the damn door. You girls, your mama is on your ass. That you have to grow up. You have to be mature. You got to do that. Man, look here, a bunch of y'all, the second your ass turned 18 years old, your mama was back out here in these streets trying to catch something. To the females, if that was your experience, give me the 2 hands up emoji if I'm telling your story right now. The second you turn 18 years old, some of you before that, your mama was like, okay, little heifer, you got to go. And she was back out here in these streets trying to see if she could catch something. Trying to see if she could trap something. Trying to see if she could re-enter the sexual marketplace. She's like, okay, I'm done with this mama thing. I got to get back out here and see if I can get something to drag the cat in. Give me the 2 hands up emoji if that is your story, ladies, to the females listening. If you've lived that you watched your mother do that. That you can see just as soon as you come to age of majority, she's already circling the drain, already getting ready to gear up. She's like, oh, damn, this being a mother. You're like, you wasn't very much of a damn mama to begin with. And she's trying to see if she can get one more ticket to ride on that last train leaving. She's sitting up here, is like, damn, can you hurry up and graduate from high school so I can go see if one of these niggas who've been orbiting here, if I can do that, because I don't want you in the house being competition, so your ass got to go. You got to go. How many of you females live that? How many of you have witnessed that and lived that? So, okay, but she's not putting the same pressure on your brothers. Did you notice that? She's not putting the same pressure on your brothers. So what does that mean? That means she got different things in mind where they're concerned. She got a different program in mind where they're concerned. Obviously, she doesn't see them as the same threat that she sees you as. She doesn't see them as the same threat. That's why so many females today become very bad mothers. They become bad mothers because they don't respect their own moms. They don't respect their mom already. She was trying to sprint back to the streets, and now you've grown of age and you don't respect your mother or motherhood. You don't respect any of that. That's a shameful position to have to be in. But many of you are there. We're going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines here now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. We've also gone ahead and opened up the Zoom. Remember that Zoom does get priority. However, please keep in mind, make sure you have your camera and your microphone on if you're going to use Zoom. We're going to go ahead and go to the telephone lines here. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from area code 917. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing, Jason? This is John calling from the Bronx.
John from the Bronx, what's on your mind?
Well, listen, sir. For years, I worked as a caseworker in a foster care agency. And as of right now, I work in a juvenile detention center. And I have to say, it's a direct pipeline. You would be astounded to observe the amount of so-called caregivers, foster parents who, you know, they look at the boys that are in their homes as, you know, like
Okay, I'm not sure if he's running around right now, but we'll give him a chance to call back. Let me get caller from area code 937. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jamal from Dayton, Ohio.
All right, Jamal from Dayton. What's on your mind?
Man, listening to this, it's reminding me of an interview I seen with Jim Jones, because he said I guess his mom she taught him how to tongue kiss and all that. And, you know, listening to it, it kind of makes sense of how that relationship is with his wife.
Well, certainly, if you have the best and easiest way to scar a boy is to give him a crazy, imbalanced mother. That's the best and easiest way to scar a boy, is give him a mother who is completely inappropriate, because now how is he supposed to know how to build a hierarchy if he was raised in a schizophrenic one? How is he supposed to know what to do? Because now he will expect this to be the situation going forward. Think about that for a few moments. If you got a mother who is sexually inappropriate with you as her son, then how do you vet females going forward? What are the rules? What are the boundaries? Hell, are there boundaries? And I would submit to you there wouldn't be. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 301. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Trini Girl from Waldorf, Maryland.
All right, Trini Girl, what's on your mind?
You hit a nerve when you mentioned about the daughters in the household with the son husbands. I grew up in a house with 5 brothers. I was the only daughter. And I remember as a kid, my mom used to beat me for no reason. And I saw she literally looked, all my brothers are very tall. And she literally used to look up to their faces with admiration. But she hated me. As a matter of fact, I think I was 7 when she threw me out the house. And I had to go stay with family. And one of my cousins moved into my bedroom. in the house that she threw me out of. I didn't understand why. I love my mom. She's my mom. But she treated my brothers. I need to say this. My dad and her were separated. So she latched on to my other brothers and she punished me. And for no reason. I think she just wanted to abuse me.
No,
So many years
there
later,
certainly was a reason. You'd have to go further back and investigate her relationship with her mother and her father. That's where your answers are.
her father was an alcoholic.
There
and
you
my
go.
mom, my grandmother enabled it. She saw him beating my mom and her siblings, and my grandmother did nothing.
There you go. So the mother, just like Oprah Winfrey, although Oprah Winfrey redirected around to hate men, which is just sick and psychotic. But yes, the father, at least that's your mother's version of it. But the father was abusive and the mother didn't do anything. Now, there are two dynamics that you would need to investigate next. Now that we know about that with the grandmother and grandfather, we now want to take a look at the man that she got pregnant by. Now we want to take a look at that one. Do we see parallels between him and the father? Do we see that? Or do we see another dynamic? I wonder, what kind of man was your father?
He's ex-military, retired veteran. He was never home. He had multiple girlfriends, and eventually my mom divorced him. Eventually.
Oh,
but
so I didn't want to sit up here and spoil it, so that's why I stopped. And that's why I said, well, it could be that he was like your dad, or there was another dynamic. So in other words, this was a man who had options, and he made it clear that he didn't really want her.
Possibly.
Not man.
But
You just told me, not through his words, through his actions. He didn't really want her.
Yes.
So, or at least that's the way she took all that philandering. He didn't really want her. She was looking for a masculine figure that was going to commit to her on her terms. Now, of course, this really only begs, well, slow down. Now, this only, of course, begs one last question. I wonder, do you bear a resemblance to either the grandmother or your father?
I'm the spitting image of my mom.
Well, it depends. How strong of a resemblance does she bear to her mother?
She looks more like her father.
Maybe. Then again, maybe
But I'll tell you,
maybe there are parts of you that remind you of her mother. Or she's not cool about you because your father, it doesn't, what kind of relationship did you have with your dad?
my dad and when I was younger, we were very, very close. We don't speak anymore.
There you go.
For years.
There you go. So in other words, this man who rejected her, he was friendly towards you. Probably she felt that he was more caring towards you than he was towards her. More protective of you than he was towards her.
He never hit me. Never.
Well, I mean, that's the worst case scenario, but it's not about did he smack you. It is about it's not about the liabilities he brought to you, it's the benefits he brought. Was he doting? Was he showing up for your birthday? Did he commemorate days? Things like that. And was he showing that he was more interested or easier going towards being affectionate towards you than he was towards your mom? Now your mom is going to hold that not against him because he ain't there anymore. Just going to hold this against you.
I need to say one thing before I land my plane. When she ignored me my entire childhood, well, right now I suffer from PTSD because I'm in a really good place. But Her ignoring me taught me to take care of myself at a very young age. And I worked my way up to success in another country all by myself. I had no help because I didn't have help as a kid. My brothers, on the other hand, they were son husbands, and they are struggling to this day. They're all older than me, and I'm the most successful. So if you really look into yourself and try to heal and don't blame and stick in that pain, you could make something bad really, really good.
Well,
I'm proof of that.
It's possible, but by the same token, if you don't have direction, that's difficult, because remember, the world treats females different than it treats us as males. As a female, you can show some thigh and get some deference. You can show some cleavage and get some deference. Your brothers cannot do that. That's the problem. If they are not productive and if they are not useful, they will be immediately punished for it. The world has absolutely zero, not a none, no use whatsoever for an unproductive, unresourceful, unuseful black male. Hell, it tries to squeeze out those of us who are productive. So for your brothers, this is a triple threat. If they've been coddled and treated like your mama's house pets because she couldn't keep a man, and rather than see to them being leaders, because here's what you're really trying to say, your mother did not teach your brothers to be leaders. And obviously she was probably an impediment to your dad either. It is the single most important thing that young males be given leadership skills. Because when a female gets with him, she doesn't want a partner, she wants a leader. And she's assuming that your mother and your father have done the work of grooming him to be a leader. Then she gets with him and realizes, oh, I'll be damned, you're a dud. You can't lead anything. You might be cute. You might be pleasant, you might be polite, but you can't lead. You can't lead. And because of that, a woman cannot respect you. The mother wasn't expecting you to lead. The mama needed you to be hobbled so that you would, because a leader is going to get up and go. She needs the sons to stick around because she knew the man she had chosen was not going to. And over the last decade and a half of my life, and I really got to say this, over the last decade and a half of my life, boy, I must have seen 100 stories like yours. I've encountered literally dozens of stories like yours, and particularly out that Caribbean, particularly out of there. And if people want to know why is it that Jason Black has the delivery that he does, why is it that Jason Black speaks the way that he does, why is it that Jason Black is so quote unquote harsh when these things come up, it is because I've heard you all's stories now going on 2 decades. It is painful.
Truth.
It is heartbreaking. It is gut-wrenching. And damn it, somebody needs to be your voice. So I'm the rage that you all are not allowed to have. I am the hostility that you're not allowed to articulate. I get to say what you all are not allowed to say because either the world won't let you or you just couldn't face being able to do that. That's what I'm here for, is to say, hey, this is what's really going on. They have really been victimized and they either cannot or will not speak for themselves, but that does not diminish what's happened to them. And your story needs to be told. I wasn't raised by drug addicts. I wasn't raised I grew up in the crack era, but I didn't have that as an issue in my family. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to speak up for all the people who were. Because the world needs to recognize, well, Jason, you did it. Well, I didn't have those circumstances to compete against. Some of y'all had some ridiculous things going on from some absolutely despicable individuals. And The reason why it's been tearing you apart is because you ain't had anybody to talk to about it. I'm talking about somebody who actually genuinely is concerned and damn concerned. What we're going to do about it? Because you're still in those circumstances. That's enough to derail your life, which is what their goal was. Your mother was trying to destroy her own damn daughter. Trying to destroy her own child.
Never been married.
And there's a bunch of them who actually succeed at it.
I've never been married. I've never had any kids. I've never been pregnant. I live alone. And I think that was her aim, grooming me to be this way as a child, for me to relive the life that she didn't have. That's just my take on that. Okay,
not exactly. The real thing is that unwantable women raise unwantable women.
I'm saying I was scared to get married because I didn't want to be like her.
Yes, ma'am, and that's what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that you see yourself that way.
I'm sorry?
That's what I'm saying is you see yourself that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to be wanted because I so much don't want to be like her that I myself do not want to be wanted. I don't want to make myself vulnerable. I don't want to enter into that. I don't think I can handle it. If I'm in that situation, the only example I've seen is hers, and I'm worried that all I'm going to do is replicate what she's done, and what you're really saying is I would be reliving it all over again. I will replicate it in my home, which means I'm going to be reliving it. Only now I'm the monster. And of course, if you don't trust her, how do you learn to trust yourself?
Exactly.
So the real issue is, you're probably correct to not trust her, but in the meantime, your defense mechanism has been one where you don't trust yourself. Well, guess what?
Exactly.
But men can see that readily. You see a woman who's dealing with trauma, she's going to have weight issues. She's going to have sexuality issues. She's going to have tattoo issues and self-defacing scarification issues. She is going to be loud. She's going to be masculine. She is not going to be soft and feminine. I mean, there's a whole, in psychology, there's just basically a profile. And I'm willing to bet you probably match the profile. So just when men see you, they don't even have to talk to you. They can see what it is. And they already know the life story just glancing at you.
Can I respond to that real quickly?
You can.
I don't have a tattoo on my body at all. I am going through something right now, but I weigh 155. I'm 5'7". I take really good care of myself. I eat well. And I got dogs and pets. I mean, plants. That's why I was laughing. But I have no tattoos. And I'm not just going out there and I don't even remember their names, but twerking kind of, that's never been me. I always cover up myself. I'm very polite to everybody. I'm very ladylike.
Well, I mean, here's the issue. Several of the things you said, those are subjective, and of course you're biased, because here's the issue. You cannot determine or rate your femininity. There's a program there's a few programs I'm lining up to do, but one of them about women rating themselves. Women who go around talking about, I know I'm a good looking woman. I know you can't rate yourself any more than slow down. When you start trying to rate your femininity or your friendliness, yes, ma'am, that's what I'm referring to. When you're trying to rate, when you just said a few moments ago, I'm very feminine. You can't determine that. Only a man who desires your company, and can't just be one. Men in general would have to determine that. And then, even then, you can't go based off of what you believe they said, because every man may tell you that to get you in them sheets. That the determinant of whether or not we really consider you to be feminine is other things, such as investment And such as whether or not we told you that the investment was a good investment or whether it wasn't. Because even if a man invests in you, if he tells you the investment was a bad investment, guess what? Your femininity just got revoked. So by that token, no, you can't determine or you can't rate or declare your own feminine value any more than a man can rate or declare his own feminine value, his own masculine value. That's not something you can say, oh, don't worry, I'm fine. No offense, but the very fact you said that is a prime indicator that it's actually the opposite. Because if that were the case, you wouldn't even say it. Because a person, because a person who actually has a certain skill set, the Dunning-Kruger effect. People, y'all can go look it up if you see me talk about it before. The Dunning-Kruger effect, which basically says that people, in extensive studies, showed that people who didn't have knowledge or expertise overrated themselves, and people who did have it underrated themselves. And what you just did was overrate.
That's what people told me.
Okay, well then again,
my female friends and my male friends.
Your female friends do not count, and once again, I just gave the metric for how to measure it from the male friends. Because here's the other thing: a feminine woman isn't comfortable with plants over a person. A feminine woman does not. A soft feminine woman does not prefer pets over a producer. So you can't declare you're a soft feminine woman and yet, but I ain't got no man around for that. Okay, what I'm saying is I hear what you're saying, but I'm trying to be diplomatic and genteel about this. But by the way, you're kind of invalidating it. Those two things can't coexist.
You're right. You're right.
Now, I have no doubt that you're probably a polite woman. That's great. Politeness and femininity are not mutually inclusive. I have no doubt that you're probably a good employee. Certainly. I have no doubt that if I left, none of my nieces and nephews are little anymore, but I have no doubt if I left babies with you, you would be the most wonderful thing for them to be with. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. But that does not determine your feminine value. And what you're telling me is that you have, at your age, and it sounds like right now you're probably beyond childbearing years.
Not quite.
Here we go. Not quite, which means yes. How old are we?
I am 53 years old. I'm 53 years old.
Damn! All right. Folks think Jason just be wilding out and just be saying any old thing. Ma'am, so you really think that them half-a-century-year-old hips are ready to carry some children?
Yeah. I'm not looking to have any.
chill!
I don't want. You're funny, Jason.
Y'all, I'm just saying, I just let the callers talk, okay? She probably really believes, do y'all really think for a moment right now that she really is ready for the weight gain and the doubling of her blood volume in her body and morning sickness and 9 months? No. Do you really think you ready for that at 53?
No, I don't want any children.
Okay, that's my point, is when you said you're talking about you can have children. Ma'am, are you serious?
I could have. I don't want any.
You could have. Ma'am, are you serious? You could have.
Yeah, biologically, I still can have, but I don't want any.
Lie.
Okay, ma'am. I swear to God. Ma'am, look, baby, are you on any medications? And I don't mean psychotropic. I mean like for blood pressure, arthritis, any chronic conditions.
Yes, I take a blood pressure medication right now. What? Because my dad suffers from high blood, but I've never missed anything.
So at 53 years old, you got high blood pressure, and you're telling me at 53 years old that you ready to pop out, that you are certain you could pop out some kids with no problem.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well.
It runs in my family. I have an aunt who saw her stuff all the way till she was 70 years old. And she had to take medication to stop it from happening.
To stop what from happening?
The ability to make a child.
What?
Yes.
You trying to tell?
Family.
Are you trying to tell me that your mother was having a period until she was in her 70s?
No, my aunt.
Okay, your aunt. You're telling me your aunt was having a period into her 70s.
My mother's.
Okay, ma'am, that's a yes or no question. You just said, are you telling me that your mother, that your aunt was having a period all the way into her 70s?
Yes.
Lie.
Okay, ma'am.
Why would I make that up?
Ma'am, okay.
She was my mother's mother, my grandmother, sister's daughter. So that's what I was trying to think.
Auntie, chill.
I was trying to think. She lives in New York, actually. So
Yeah, I don't care. She lives on Mars. She ain't having no children. She's not having any kids. Don't think about that one for a little bit there.
I'm not close to my family. I live alone.
Ma'am, it's
you know
AT&T. AT&T has connected the world.
Yeah, deal with it, nigga.
Okay,
I love that.
Okay,
I mean, it's
congratulations.
funny.
AT&T has. I need you to deal with. I need you to deal with this menopause. AT&T has connected the world. So when you talk about you don't talk to your family, they are just a phone call away. As unpleasant as it might be.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to them.
Okay,
they're too dysfunctional for me.
Well, ma'am, all I'm saying right here is if I were you, I wouldn't be picking out the baby clothes. I don't think you're in danger of that.
I don't want kids.
Okay, the kids don't want you at this point, but don't feel bad about that. I'm just saying 53 years old.
I don't feel bad. Do you want kids, Jason?
The shop is closed, okay? The shop is closed.
Do you want kids?
I wouldn't have a problem with it necessarily with the right person. It doesn't bother me.
I don't.
Okay, well, all I can tell you here is that that's a personal decision for you. I think the worst thing in the world would be to have somebody who does not want to have children having them. Hell, we got enough heifers out here who want kids who shouldn't be having them. So certainly a person who doesn't want them. However, I will tell you one other thing. The world is in the screwed up place it's in today because the people who would make the best parents don't have the children, and the people who have the children don't need to be parents. And now at this point, the degenerate, the diseased, the imbalanced, and the deranged, their offspring now outnumber the rest of us to a frightening proportion. So all these folks out here who are talking about how great they be as parents and then nothing happens, my whole thing online has been about dealing with the children of the dysfunctional. I haven't had kids of my own because I'm too busy juggling the kids of the dysfunctional. So with that being the case for everybody else here, I'm just saying if they are capable of being that, that's not a great thing. It really, really isn't. Because now we're not on our way to being outnumbered. We're way outnumbered today. And at this point, we're no longer in danger of just being outnumbered. Now we're just in danger of being overrun by the dysfunctional bastard kids of all these sick women.
I know. Yes.
I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I'm a second-time caller, and the last time I had my cell phone on and my home phone I called you from, it was a 240 number. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to listen to you on my cell and call you from my cell. So I really enjoy your program, your broadcasts, and I look forward. If I miss it, I'd listen to it the next day. And I appreciate all the hard work that you do. We do appreciate the hard work you do, Jason. So be one.
Be one, sisters. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And like I said, I've literally spent decades hearing that now, and it's heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching, and I'm just not going to pull any punches when I stand up to speak for them. Somebody needs to be the voice of their anger and their outrage. They've suffered horrendous, grievous injuries. Somebody needs to give a grievous response. Let me go ahead and get over here on Zoom. I've got Dwayne over here on Zoom. And what's on your mind, brother?
How you doing, Jason? B1 sign as always. You like I always tell you, man. You sing life, and listening to this topic tonight really hit home for me. I stumbled upon your content, I would say about 3 years ago, and that kind of led me down this path of really trying to bring about a different type of a different version of myself towards my family, particularly my mother. Single mom. My father was married to someone else. My brother's father was married to someone else. And then her boyfriends were also married. I grew up knowing that. I grew up being exposed to things that a young boy shouldn't be exposed to within that scenario. So, fast forward to about 3 years ago, once I stumbled upon your content, I started asking my mom questions like, what's your experience with a good man? And she shut me down, and that hurt me so badly. I remember crying to that because I was like, my mom doesn't want to open up to me and have a heart-to-heart discussion. So I told her, if you and I can't sit down and talk about things outside of who born, who died, who got married, then let's not talk at all, because our phone works both ways. Let's start establishing a more connected rapport, and to date she can't do that. So
her relationships with men have been poisoned, and what you are gonna have to reconcile yourself to is, you, as all males do, you do not identify as a man. Not in her presence, you don't. You're a man with the rest of us. But she is the only human being on this planet that you don't identify as a man with. Not you. You don't identify yourself as a man. You identify yourself as her son. As a third category. Well, I'm not a man. Like the joke from the kid. That's no lady. That's my mom. So, well, I'm not a man. I'm her son. So your identity is what you're grappling with there. And you've got a mother whose behavior is essentially denying your identity as her son because she has unresolved issues with men. So she sees you as a man and not her son, or she's responding to you as a man and not her son. And what you'll have to accept is she's got grievous wounds that you are unable to heal. These were things that would have occurred long before you ever got here, and now all you can really witness is the wreckage. But after when you got a chick who's laying up with 3 or 4 married men, these are serious, deep-seated issues. Seriously deep-seated issues. She's looking for a man's home to wreck. So what I'm saying is, at this point now, you be way off in the woods about what happened with her parents and what they're like.
Man. So I'll try to I'm going to be as brief as I can, but like I said, me and my brother have different fathers. My brother first saw his father when he was 23. His father lives a mile away from the house. Right? I went home to Trinidad back in the earlier part of the year, and I went home specifically to spend time with my mom. But I went home that early because I found out that she was seeing my brother's father again, which was absurd to me. So I mean, I went down there. I was down there with my wife. Valentine's Day, we chilling. I'm like, I'm going to take my wife out to dinner. And my mom basically said that I was full of shit. She literally said that to me, and I told her, you're projecting your insecurities towards me because you're not used to. First of all, you don't know me as an adult, because I left there before I was 21, and you've never had experience with a man like me before. I'm foreign to you. So from since then to now, we have this kind of a strange kind of relationship, kind of situation going on, and I've come to terms with that. I'm okay with that. But this broadcast is really hitting. It's triggering. It's hitting me home. It's hitting me real hard because yeah, I sometimes I just don't get it, but sometimes I do.
Sometimes I don't get it, but sometimes I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's just the way how I could see it, because it's like I'm here. Right now. I'm in New Hampshire. I'm I end up doing a 34 here, and everything in me wants to call my mom just to kind of check in with her, and then I would pick my phone up. I already know how the conversation is gonna go, and I don't feel like dealing with that bullshit.
Yeah, that would be the issue I would have, because life is hard enough already.
Right.
At what point does life stop being a struggle for you and a fight for you? At what point? And it can be a difficult thing, but a lot of folks got to recognize that sometimes when you talk about folk getting out your life, sometimes you're related to them.
Yeah.
That can be a difficult thing, but sometimes it's like, yeah, making my life better would involve getting rid of you because you're so screwed off and dysfunctional. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything, and you're okay cultivating that level of degeneracy. And I'm trying to go somewhere, and you're not conducive to me getting anywhere. Hell, you weren't conducive to you getting anywhere. And sometimes I know that's a hard thing to have to accept because, your family is your grounding in the world. It's your identity. It's very, very hard to do that. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. And I don't have a lot of good news, but I got this one. Everybody has to do that. At some point, you have to create an identity for yourself that is dependent on yourself. I have to remind people that folks who run around talking about marriage and stuff like that, marriage is a great institution, or at least it can be. It certainly serves a purpose, but let's also be clear of one other thing. All marriages end. Even under the best of circumstances, all marriages end under one of two circumstances: death or divorce. So in other words, your marriage will end no matter what you do. At some point, you're going to go back to where you were. That doesn't mean you're going to make a beeline for it, but at some point, you're going to go back to where you were. And I want you to be aware of that. Well, guess what? Being your parent's child is the same thing. At some point, you are going to be, the whole point is to make you an autonomous being. At some point, you're going to have to get along without them no matter what you do. So what does that person look like who is completely autonomous and independent from them? That you don't, because one day you will not have the ability to pick up the phone and call them. Right. Now what? And are we preparing for that? So I'm going to say, as bad as it sounds, by the way, we're going to end up here no matter what we do. Are we preparing ourselves for that? Or are we telling ourselves that this will just be a present progressive that will continue indefinitely? Because that's really not real. And I'm not pleased about the circumstances, but by the same token, I would much rather see you embrace an unpleasant reality so that you can get to the work of making it livable than to see you going around and round in circles for something that simply can't happen. For folks who don't serve you well and are not looking out for your best interests. That to me is the worst thing that could happen to you. Because I'm not scared that you won't have an identity, that you have to have an identity of your own. I'm more worried about those of you who got two parents sitting right next to you and can't make an identity of your own. What do you think a mama's boy is? She answers the damn phone every time he calls, and she's nerfing him.
Right.
Think about that for a few moments. She'll answer the phone every damn day, and she's destroying him every time she does.
Yeah.
That is a far worse fate than having somebody who encourages and cultivates the worst in you. I'll let you have the last word.
Right. Well, like I say, I've been listening to your broadcast now for about 3-4 years. And while I was able to really resonate with what you were saying, I was still bull jiving. This year, when I went home and I spent that time with my mom, my family, and it kind of took me back emotionally, even physically. And I came back, I lit a fire under my belly, I got my CDL, and I'm here on the road because I realized I can't look back. That version of me is no longer. And I have to create this identity that clearly my family doesn't resonate or identify with who the person that I am now. And that's okay. So as always, B1$, thank you for all of the influence that you've provided me and the millions of others that you do.
Thank you very much for checking in with us, brother. We appreciate that. And like I say, I know it's a hard road to hoe. It's difficult. It's not something that you ask for. You should be able to depend on your parents. Yeah, you should. Your parents should not be screwed off narcissistic, selfish, criminally selfish, degenerate wackos. I understand that. It would be so much nicer if these burdens were so much lighter on you. And it's not fair. It's not fair to you. And I understand that. That's not lost on me. All I can do now is tell you, I know it's not fair, but this is going to be yours. Yours will be more unfair than other people. What can we do to prepare you for where you're going and how you're going to have to get there? Fair or not, this is the way it's going to be. So what can I do to prepare you for this harder road? Let me get called from area code 617. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Michelle.
Okay, Michelle, where are you calling
Calling
from?
from Boston.
Michelle from Boston. What's on your mind?
Well, I have a friend who is in the situation that you're talking about. His mother had like 7 kids by 7 different men. And he's very angry. Right now, I think that she has manipulated him by, I think they've always been on like subsidy, help from the government. And basically has manipulated him to take on his daughter's child, by gaining custody of that child. And now says that forced him to move back in with her to take care of his grandchild. I think he's very angry and trapped. So I think it's very true with his brothers, went through prison and, I think he's doomed because he goes from job to job. He still lives with his mother. He's almost 50. He's, just his mother, every time I went over, talked sexually to him. Just very inappropriate.
And Unfortunately, here's the real criminal part of it. Unfortunately, you get to a certain point where, you're past the point of no return. That's the real issue.
Oh.
If I have a male in his 50s, it's going to be, how do I introduce him to manhood, independence, drive, productivity? If he's been a mama's boy his whole life, that is his identity. I would have to, re-raise him. Baby, half a century old? Come on now. He has dreams about this. When he goes to sleep at night, he dreams of it. And it's completely normalized. Okay, let's try this a different way. Let's just say that you had somebody who was in prison from the age of 10 years old to 55 years old.
Yes.
Not the age of 18 or 20, from the age of 8 or 10. So in other words, they literally don't have a frame of reference outside of that.
Yeah, but what if he moved out and then moved back in because I guess his mother kept pressuring him?
You just said he moved out and then moved back in. There you go. Ma'am, I mean, y'all, the ladies tonight are really smoking the hopium. I know y'all are trying, but I'm just like, by the way. Yeah.
He's very angry and very aggressive. And,
of course he is. You gotta understand, bastard, selfish females never, ever, ever think about the ramifications that this will have on their son husbands. They don't think about that. Because that's what it means to be them. They are narcissistic, conceited, selfish, and they totally lack any empathy whatsoever. They're only self-absorbed and about themselves. They literally don't care what happens to their sons. That's why these boys so often end up in prison or dead. They end up in prison or dead because these women do not give a damn. They literally don't. So you have a boy who he's watching all these other people getting basic things, raising, rearing, mentorship, wisdom. We're not talking about money, basic things that he should have gotten and he doesn't have it. Hell yeah, he's putting it at her doorstep. The problem is he doesn't know how to fix it. So he can blame her, but he doesn't know what to actually do about it.
Well, he says she's the best mother, like she's,
there you know. Yeah, she's such a great mom. He's angry. She's such a great mom. He's angry about it. Yeah, she's such a great mom. He's angry about it.
Yeah, I mean, he takes out very aggression on women. He speaks low of them. He's just aggressive and speaks sexually like they're objects, like his mother spoke about men. And
well, no, he speaks about them the way his mother has behaved. Remember, your children will follow your example, not your advice. So if you lived your life as a stomped down, flat out hoe, and your sexuality has always been on display, and it's still on display, and there are no boundaries with your sons, then just understand at this point right now, this is what females are for. Their identity chiefly starts with sexuality, and it doesn't move beyond that.
Yeah, but I think he would think it would be appropriate for his mother to say that, women are there for his penis and, she's got to go get hers and just very inappropriate things. When I didn't even know her, it's like visiting at home. It was very inappropriate. It's like, what kind of mother speaks like that? It's just
the bad kind, the worst kind.
Yeah,
that's who does it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me see if I can get back over here on Zoom. Let me get Great Lakes Champion. Let me see if I can get you up on deck here. Let me see if I can get Great Lakes Champion on here. He's trying to attach his audio. Make sure we have our audio and our video connected here, and we'll be ready to do the damn thing. All right, Great Lakes Champion. What is on your mind, brother?
Hey, look, let me turn this light on. Yeah, I want to say the first thing when you said about the mother, I want to say you forgot. Well, I'm sorry, you didn't forget, but you didn't mention like with Tyrese about having the grandmother in the mother's ear. trying to control the mom and what she does with the son. Also, everything you expressed, I've expressed. I called your broadcast a while ago, and I told you how my mom had made issues with me, you know, trying to be a Navy SEAL officer, and how someone reminded me the other day that, hey man, you had an ROTC scholarship, but I had to go to the Great Lakes Naval Station in Chicago, north of Chicago. And my mom wouldn't let me drive there. She wouldn't take me there, and I completely forgot about that. And then my uncle was saying, yeah, she wanted to control you, to not make you powerful, so she can be on top and kind of be.
So you're saying that your uncles told you that?
Yeah, this is on my dad's side.
Okay.
This is my mom is the only child. My mom.
Well, yeah, but the real thing is, this is what I've always told you all, is that if you want to know the real about your parents, go talk to their siblings. Go talk to your kinfolk who grew up with them. Because you're coming in the scene decades later. You go talk to some folks who knew them at your age or whatever. They'll tell you what the psychology and the makeup is that's going on with them.
Yeah. And it's, I wanted to tell you something, and it clicked in my head like a year ago. But you always said like the red pill is for black people. But with this situation, there is a red pill black movie. And you know what it is? It's the first Blade movie. If you realize the issues he had with his mom, he had to kill his mom, come back, the blood and everything represents the red pill, the awareness, him accepting it, all this other stuff. This symbolism.
Well,
I think it's like,
I certainly want you all to adopt an idea of yourselves that at some point, no matter what occurs, even under allegedly, quote unquote, the best of circumstances, you're going to have to make this decision regardless. Let me give you an idea. There are a lot of you, your parents are okay. Look, I'm from the deep South. I grew up with a bunch of folks. They were okay just living in the same neighborhood for the rest of their lives, driving the same car, the same clothes, the same everything for the remainder of their days. At some point, you're going to have to make that decision for yourself, whether that's what you want to be. That's going to bring you into conflict with other people, folk you've grown up with, folk who maybe raised you. You're going to get here no matter what. There are going to be things about your life that you're going to have to make the decision that this is who I'm going to be, and it might require me to cut ties with these people over there. Do you get to a point where you do that? Because there's a number of different things that can cause that to occur. Maybe everything else with your mom was okay, but your aspirations in life were so much higher than yours, or higher than hers, that she was afraid to encourage you to do that. So what do? Do you give that up? Or do you keep going and leave mom where she is because you're on a mission? It can happen under the so-called best of circumstances.
Yeah, I agree. I think you get up for you're on a mission, but if you have a mother saying, well, you think you're too good for this. You think you're too good for this. You're selfish. You're a narcissist. She's trying to, gaslight you and gatekeep information and keep you down. And you don't realize it until you get into your 30s and you're like, well, fuck, I could have been something else, but this was in my way. And you wouldn't know.
I want you all to understand something. I was saying it to the woman earlier tonight, and I want you all to get that clear. People saying things that are not in your best interest, it doesn't matter whether they say it, quote unquote, politely or whether they say it with venom dripping from their fangs. It doesn't make a difference. Somebody trying to undermine you saying, hello, good morning, that's not any better than somebody saying, get over here, nigga. The two are not different. And you've really adopted manhood when you've accepted that reality of it. I'll let you have the last word.
No, that's it. I want to say I appreciate your broadcast. I'm glad you did this, because a lot of people say, well, you're an adult, you can make your own decision, but you can. If your parents don't support your shit, it's hard to do it. And if your mother is putting obstacles in your way, you're not gonna realize it until it's too late, unless someone tells you. And most people, like you said, they put that code of omerta. You said that other guy's mom, they have that code of omerta, and the silence is complicit, and then they just don't care.
I just want you all to understand that when you are on your mission in life and it is righteous and is honorable and is just, you have an obligation to clear all obstacles, no matter what or who they may be. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me get back over here on Blog Talk. Let me get caller from area code 917. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing, Mr. Black? This is John again, calling from the Bronx.
All right, John from the Bronx. What's on your mind?
I called a little early. I was so fired up about this particular broadcast. I called before I was settled. I apologize for getting cut off in that manner. But as I was saying earlier, I worked for years as a caseworker in the foster care system. And as of right now, I work in a juvenile detention center. And I can tell you firsthand that absentee mothers and mothers who are present and toxic are one of the primary.
Okay, folks, I swear that's not me who keeps cutting him off. So I don't know if he's running afoul of the NSA or what he's doing over there, but I assure you that's not me who keeps doing that. So he must be going into a room or something that keeps dropping his call or something, but I assure you that's not me. Let me get called from area code 267. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, yes, this is Tammy calling from Williamsport, PA. This broadcast actually gives me chills because of the place that I work with. It deals with mostly females who are broken, and I'm a house advocate for the females. And there's a particular woman who has 3 kids. She treated her daughter egregious. Like, when you say that people who shouldn't have kids are having kids, you're so absolutely right. Like, this woman should be in jail. She put her daughter up for adoption. The people who adopted her sexually abused her. When she did get her back a few months later, she ended up abusing her daughter by stomping her head into the floor. Had the daughter took it away from her. She never raised her other 2 sons, but she shows affection towards them, not because she loved them, but I guess what she can gain from them. And she had admitted that her daughter, she doesn't have any type of feeling towards her daughter at all. Now, understand the 2 older, the son and the daughter has the same father, but for some reason she has affection for the son. And that woman that called, the older woman who's in her 50s, called and was telling you about how her mother treated her, and her between her and her brothers. It got chilled. And I mean, I don't know like how worse things are gonna get. And you're absolutely right about, you know, better people having children. I'm proud of my brother. Him and his wife just they haven't had a baby, but she's pregnant. She will be having the baby, I think, this November. And, you know, I'm very proud, and they're great people. And I just, out there, for all the great people out there, you know, definitely the only way we can make better people is, you know,
well, it's certainly helpful that people take
having children,
responsibility for it, because the people who need to be having the kids have trepidation, and the people who the people who should be raising children have no reservations whatsoever. There's a crazy kind of situation involved in there. So folks getting more active, that's important. That's important. Let me go ahead and see if I can jump back over here on Zoom. Let me get T Black over here on Zoom. Let's see if we can go ahead and get them up and going. So go ahead and connect your audio and your video for us here, T Black. We'll give you a few moments to go ahead and get that up and going for us. T Black might be using their Mozambique mobile. So just in case you're on Mozambique mobile or Rwandan broadband. Okay, T Black is trying to, there you go. Okay, is T Black telling me a minute? Really? Where's your audio, sir? Okay. Sir, your audio's not on. Okay. We'll see if we can come back to T Black here. We'll come back to him. Let me get caller from area code 585. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from area code 585. You're on live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Last try. You're on live. Caller from area code 585.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on live.
Okay, this is Christopher from upstate New York. One thing I want to say, you're doing a hell of a good job on the broadcast and everything, but what I want to touch on about the son-husband bullshit is, you know, number one, I'm a believer of the Most High, and I think a lot of these so-called mama boys or, you know, the son husbands, they don't have no plan. And not only that, they have not spiritually cut the umbilical cord to go out in the world and conquer whatever life has for them. And another thing, I keep seeing this a lot, especially in the Black community. And I just really couldn't understand it. And, you know, it happens a lot, and I see it every day. But another thing that gets me, and I've been thinking about this because me and my dad talked about this like 2 days ago. And when you talked about it, I'm like, oh, okay, damn. Okay, me and my dad was talking some shit. What's really going on out here? And the son husband has an effeminate spirit on him, because he's still attached to his mother spiritually. Because when the mother carries the son for 9 months, he's still in the womb of his mother. But a lot of these things are just emasculated right now, and I just couldn't understand it. But
well, I definitely believe in that. Today, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, folks. Here, yeah, we got to land your plane for you. Jason, you've been working on some, I got to land your plane for you here, folks. So just in case some of y'all were wondering, by the way, I got to just bring you in for a landing. He's circling the airport. Let me bring him on in for a landing. All right, we're going to try this one time here. T Black, brother, I don't know what we done caught you doing here tonight. If you're at an Amazon warehouse or something, but you're holding up the program, are you ready to speak to us, sir? Okay. I do not understand what is going on with T Black here, but brother, we're going to just give you a chance to take the night off, sir. Caller from area code 602, you're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from area code 602, last try, you're on live. All right, caller from area code 602 has been abducted. Okay, there's a caller on the line who their number is not showing. So if you're an international caller or something like that, you're going to need to let my mods know you're on the line. If you're outside the U.S. or if you're calling from a private number or something, we're not going to accept that. So you need to let my mods know that you're on the line. I won't take your call without seeing that. So whoever is on the line and on Blog Talk and you got your number obscured, you need to let my mods know in the chat room that that's you. Without that, we're not going to take it. So just be forewarned here. There is somebody on the line, but their number is not showing. So you know who you are if you're on Blog Talk and you're listening. So go ahead and you need to go in the chat room and let my mods know that that's you on the line. We're not going to just take folk on the line here and they're just hiding out or whatever they're doing. So if you're overseas or whatever the case may be, we're going to need to get that taken care of. So I'll give you a few moments here, but we won't take your call until that gets done. Let me get caller from area code 470. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. Black, this is Mr. Bowden calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, Mr. Bowden from Atlanta, what's on your mind?
Hey, man, it's crazy out here. These women, the same age as Blueface Mama out here, dressed up in Halloween costumes when they should be in the house somewhere, watching some late show or something. Get ready for work next morning. Here's the question I have, man. And I'm not gonna take a lot of time. Why do these women, in they like half 100 years old, why do they think they have a second wind? Like, why do they think they can like do it all over again? Like they were, say in their 20s.
Because they needed
early 30s.
I mean, because they needed it. But just remember, this used to be something that was relegated to, certain females. So it used to be that debutante syndrome where you just remember how great you were in your high school years, and that's just going to be evergreen. And that used to be relegated to only the chicks who really qualified. Today, in the era of the internet and social media, every female has something that you used to have to work for. It used to be, in order for you to have 10 people say that you was cute or sexy, man, you had to actually have it. Now, you've got enough dripping, thirsty, desperate dudes that any chick, a size 22 chick, got dudes sitting there talking about, damn, baby, you fine. So if you want to know what happened, that's what happened. Remember, when, I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, they used to have those Calgon commercials. The woman would come through the door and the phone was ringing, the kids were screaming, the food's on the stove burning. And she said, Calgon, take me away. That was because women back then recognized where they were in life and accepted it. Today, we created a society that encourages women to be delusional and to live in denial of where they really are. So she tells herself, it don't matter how many kids, how many neon light STDs I have, how many years and stretch marks and wrinkles, my value is going to remain the same because I'm special and I'm a unicorn. And in reality, all that really happens is they end up getting somebody's lame beta, somebody's lame male son, somebody's pookie. That's all they end up with. And they spend the rest of their lives now switching delusions and trying to claim that Pookie is in fact a producer. And then they just limp along for the rest of their days. So if you want to know why it is they think they got a second wind, it's because the game has changed. It used to be that females couldn't live in delusion because no one would reinforce it. Well, just like the internet expanded men's options, the internet expanded people's perception of expanded options. That's what happened. So it used to be if your mama was in a little town in Louisiana, she found out real quick that she wasn't really desirable because those were the only males she could pick from. Today, she can get on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever and go market herself to some dusty, worn out lame 1,000 miles away. And then she'll have an inbox full of 5 or 6 of them. And attention is currency. Now, when they were young females, attention was a prelude to tangibles. Understand that fact. When they were in their 20s, brother, you were there. When the chick was in her 20s, men giving her attention was a prelude to tangibles. Mm-hmm. She was getting attention and benefits, attention and shopping trips, attention and top value men, attention and dudes who ain't ragged out and one. She had her pick of the litter when she was in her early 20s. Now, your mama is 40, 50, 60 years old. She's being offered sex and nothing else. So now she's in denial that that's all she's being offered. So getting up every day is an exercise in mental and emotional survival. Because if she accepts the reality of where she actually is, especially if she's a walking narcissist, then it's going to crush her. She needs to believe that she is that valuable. Not she wants to, she needs to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the society today has cultivated every female's inner narcissist. It has. You take a look on Facebook and Instagram. For example, you go to Instagram right now and you type in the top females and go look for the top females, or what the females talk about, I'm a boss babe, or what high value women. It's some chick in a thong swinging her butt cheeks. You've just got an endless timeline. When you show the females, when they talk about they're important and I'm going to have multiple chances in life, too bad for the man who fumbled me. It's always a chick barely wearing some dental floss with a butt cheek swinging. And you have a whole timeline. That's what represents females being valuable today. Now, when you take a look at what represents men being valuable, you see cars, you see houses, you can see clothes. In other words, you see tangibles.
Right.
So the women are telling you that they have fully embraced the idea that all I have to bring to the table is ass. That's all I gotta bring. I literally don't need to bring anything else. Yeah, your mama and your grandmama needed to bring that, but it's 2023. I don't have to do that. We can finally have our self-absorbed, narcissistic exploitation fantasy that all I have to do is, the men have to work their tongues out, and all I have to do is stand here like Santa Claus with a big bag and just drop the benefits over here.
Yeah, drop the presents off.
I'll let you have the last word.
Last question. I paused the screen on the two-way screen with Blueface standing beside his mom, with his mom looking up at him. I had a weird question. It's gonna sound crazy. Does Blueface's mom look at him as the way she wanted to look at his dad if he was, successful, or, the money maker of the family?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. This is the great irony of it. This woman has demonstrated that she has utter contempt for her son, which tells you that she would crush his dreams if she could. She spent this entire time doing that, and her son, amazingly enough, has been invincible against that. So despite her best efforts to crush his abilities, he has been able to endure and persevere. So what you see is a female who is admiring her son's ability to survive her violence and machinations and her abuse. There's the great irony of it. He's become this incredible being, and she's like, yep, and I'm the one who did that for him. Yeah, by trying to destroy him.
Wow.
So just understand, she just totally disregards that. So she admires him for being able to survive her attempts to destroy him. So you see this very sick complex that goes on. Case in point, I think you all understand that would be the same thing with Jada Pinkett. If Will Smith is able to make it through this, Jada gonna be sitting there giving herself credit for it. You all do realize that, don't you? You all realize that. Now, if Will Smith actually does make a comeback, do you all think for a second that Jada Pinkett is gonna say, I'm so proud of him, he did this despite me? Hell no, she's gonna say she was the reason if I didn't toughen him up.
Right.
I'm serious. That's what she would say. He did this because I toughened him up. If it wasn't for me, he was weak and he was salty. He was weak and meek and fragile before I toughened him up. So what I'm saying is, when you have somebody who that's their perspective, please understand no amount of abuse is going to register to them as a bad thing. None. When that's the lens that they view you through, it's like, yeah, I can do no wrong. That's the look that you see on her face. So it's a very sick dynamic. you have a woman who love for her really is only through conflict.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
She doesn't define it any other way. She doesn't consider it worth having any other way. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me check over here. Okay, over here on Zoom, I got Digga Dan on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
What's going on, brother? I had to call in and chime in on the subject. Man, I've been seeing a lot of that going on my whole life, truth to be told. Starting from my grandmother. So, which is my mom's mom. Completely, I'm talking about she everything under the skull, everything under the sun. A slime ball, dirt bag, however you name it. Damn! I seen the relationship her and my mom had when I was coming up, because we all grew up in the same building. And yeah, so that's, I can't even get to the details and the gist of it, but yeah, I seen that growing up my whole life though. Even seen that, even some of the chicks I done dated, they didn't have weird ass relationship with their moms. My last ex who I was dating, man, let me tell you something. I remember my ex at the time was in, you know what I'm saying, asked her mom, you know, she was in need at the time. She like, hey, I gotta call my man. I gotta call my man all the time. The dude who she was with, finessing her, all type of stuff. That then she would, then if the daughter don't do something that the mama don't approve, that the mama don't like, she called all type of bitches and hoes. Man, I done dated some chicks like that, and boy, and that can have a lot of effect on the daughters and even the sons, because if you can't break from your toxic parents' manipulation and spell, man, it get ugly.
You know, there's an old saying, you can't choose your parents, and I wish you all could, but you can't choose them. And sometimes, just in life, I think in my opinion, I think it's to greater or lesser degrees. At some point, you have to become an independent person. At some point, you have to be in a situation where you're not dependent on your parents. And that even includes for affection. At some point, you have to get there, even under the best of circumstances, because what's the alternative? The alternative is being a mama's boy who can't live without it. So if I were going to have you err on the side of one or the other, I'd have you err on that one. I'd have you err on the side of being able to be independent. I don't want you to be callous. I don't want you to be unconcerned. I don't want you to lack empathy. But I do need you to be able to be a fully functional human being, even in the absence of your parents' active affection. Even if you had model parents, imagine the idea that you could not function without their affection. You couldn't be a CEO. The company would come to a screeching halt if something happened to your parents. You couldn't be a teacher. You couldn't be a firefighter. I can go down the list. The whole society would be held hostage to your relationship to your parents and how well it's going or how well it isn't going. Think about that for a few months. Look, folks, adulthood is about the ability to do hard things. That's the bottom line. Adulthood is supposed to be preparing you to do difficult things, not easy things. When you were a child, we took it easy on you. Adulthood is supposed to be about, hey, can you function on a daily basis with difficult things happening? Not just once or twice, it's just every day we got a new challenge here. Can you function? Or do you fall apart? Do you break down? Do you crash? The folks that we admire most are the people that every day there's a crisis going on and they can handle it. We're going to measure your adulthood against your ability to do things that are difficult. And having to make it without your parents being your role model and example, that's probably one of the hardest things. But that's being an adult too.
And sometimes some things that your parents can't teach you either. No matter how good of a parent they is, no matter how hard they try. Like, I'll take my parents for example. Now, both of my parents were young when they had me, but at the same token, it was some holes in their game too. Since I'm old enough now to, look back on it. But they wasn't bad parents. I just saw that certain information they did not know. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of chose the hard route. You know what I'm saying? Going out there and see for myself anyway, because I never been the type of nigga to want to be called a war. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, I mean, think about it for a few moments here. There are those of you who, in the process, and I mentioned this before, in the process of seeking your fame and fortune or, making your place in this world, you might have had small town parents. You might have had, and that doesn't make them bad people, but it's just like, hey, look, mom might be okay with that 89 Impala. Even though I know it wasn't an 89, but y'all get the idea. She might be okay with that. And I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to have more than that. Niggas looking at you talking about why you need all that. And it's like, okay, well, your parents got along without that. Okay, well, that was their identity. That's not mine. What if you really are a Rolls Royce nigga? What if that is really what you are? Do you continue to live in a manner that satisfies and placates or was comfortable for your parents if that's not really who you are? Think about that for a few minutes. Just like, hey, y'all cool and everything, but I'm trying to go for something bigger. Okay, what's the next thing to do? Well, damn, there's a whole bunch of folks right now that they went to college because their parents told them to. And just told them that's what this will be doing. That might not have been what they needed to do in a lot of cases. But the parents were most comfortable with that. So they did what made the parents most comfortable as opposed to take that risk. And if they did, the parents were like, oh, that's real risky. I mean, think about that for a few moments. So the parents aren't telling you, no, don't do it. But when you talk to them, the parents have no faith in it. Oh, that's too risky. That's too difficult. Oh, that won't work. And it's one of those things where you can always, I was listening to a fellow the other weekend. It was talking about, you can always go back and go get that job at the Amazon warehouse. You can always go back and go get your degree. You can't always go back and pursue acting or writing or whatever the case may be. You can't always go back and do that. Mom, Dad, I can always go back to school. I can go back to school whenever. The school gonna be there. I can't go back and do this like going to the NBA. If your kid got a chance to go to the NBA, he needs to go. He can always go back and get a degree. He cannot always go back and get drafted. Well, he could fail. Baby, he can fail with a damn degree. I can tell y'all about a whole bunch of folks. You can fail with a damn degree. At least let him see what's going to happen.
And truth to be told, man, because I got asked this question about a week ago, about a chick who I used to deal with a couple years ago. She asked me like, you got any kids? I'm like, no. So she was and a lot of people you'll say like, well, damn, you 31, like you ain't got no kids. Well, first they asked me, hey, can you still have kids? I'm like, yeah, I can still produce kids. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm in the wheelchair, that don't mean shit. But at the same token, this is one of the main reasons why I'm not married with no kids. Because I saw the shit as 14, 15 years old, like the no accountability. And I don't want to accidentally pick one of those chicks who I'm married to and give my seed to. And no, that's one of the main reasons. And the second reason why, because I was out there in the streets heavy, and I don't want to do that and be the family man at the same time. I can't, that was the second reason. But that was one of the main reasons right there and there.
Well, one of the things that we as males have to deal with, especially if you came from a rough environment, you're in Chicago and everything. And a lot of you, like the chick from the Caribbean who called up here before, if you raised around a bunch of folks who failed, you start projecting their failures onto yourself. Even though you can identify it, even though you can see it, you start identifying with their failure rather than with your own position. Because if you actually identify with your position, you realize, and the very fact that I can call out their failures drastically reduces the probability of me repeating it. just from that alone. But when you surround yourself with failures, you start to identify as one. That's all the more reason to have a mindset that says, I got to get up away from you niggas because you failed. And if I stick around you, I'm going to start either seeing myself as a failure or reacting to situations as if I'm a failure like you. As opposed to, hey, I'm a person who's actually got options. I didn't mess off my chances. I'll let you have the last word.
That's all. I think this topic needs to be touched on, and I think, and another thing, and this is my last what I got to say. I think this is one of the reasons why that more brothers is more smarter than ever. You know what I'm saying? Because we realize what's really out here. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. And nice broadcast.
Thank you very much for giving the call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. And he's absolutely right here. You know, it's not going to be as easy to get over as it used to be. There's a lot of abused mama's boys out here and a lot of son husbands, but they're not being as quiet and as docile as they used to be. It's not going to be so easy. You have a lot of son husbands out there and stuff, but it's not going to be so easy to get them to deliver on the promise. You might be able to handicap them and hobble them, but you won't be able to get most of them to deliver on that promise you've been waiting on. Just a friendly reminder. Caller from area code 708, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Jason. This is Lee calling for Chicago.
Lee from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so basically, I kind of like in a tough situation right now. So basically, growing up as a child, I've been mentally abused because my mom be laying down with a different man in the home. And ever since I be coming an adult, I be carrying with a lot of depression and anxieties lately. And sometimes I'll be doubting myself, like, wow, I'm still living to this day because the abuse that I've been through my growing up and stuff.
And it's a difficult thing there. I don't like that, but at the same time, I hope that you all will find your identity in it, and that you'll find an identity not as an abused child, but as someone who was able to forge their way and forge an identity and create a purpose in this world outside of that. That those are things that may have happened to you, but you were strong enough and great enough that you did not let some damaged female's failures define you. Because hers are going to define her. She's going to live with that the rest of her life. And it won't be a life worth having. Your job is to prove that, yeah, you're going to be over there with that life not worth having on your own. But I won't be following you.
You're right, Jason. I remember when I was 26 years old a few years ago, but now I'm 30. But anyway, I asked her, like, Mom, why do you put me through that mental abuse with all the men in and out of the home and stuff? Then she just turned her back on me, pretending nothing happened. I'm like, Mom, I asked you a question. Like, what's going on? Like, it's like you just not. It sounds like she does not want to take responsibility for what she done, and now I'll be walking around the world just like try to overcome depression, and right now I'm getting help from it by people I hang around with now. Now I'm trying to overcome depression, trying to overcome anxieties that I've been through as a child. And I remember when I was a teenager, I was to that point I almost commit suicide, like literally. I remember I drunk like a half a cup of bleach and stuff because the mental abuse I've been through in the home.
And it's not right. It's not right for that to happen. That's through no fault of your own. And the real issue here is that a female cannot be respected without accountability. Ladies, we cannot respect you as feminine beings without accountability. How is anyone going to entrust you to be the teacher of their children, the teacher of their sons, the teacher of their daughters, A teacher must be accountable. Furthermore, a teacher demands to be accountable because a teacher wants to be respected for the quality of their work. A woman has no value without her accountability. A woman who attempts to dodge accountability is like a man who attempts to dodge respectability. You see, there's a reason why the word coward specifically is prescribed to males. Did you all understand that? When we talk about terms like coward, that's a term that specifically is prescribed to a male. We don't really consider women to be cowards under any circumstance, with the exception of one, if they abandon the children. And even then, we've given women such a pass for so long that now they've defined coward out of the dictionary for themselves, even though it does apply. But as men, the reason why the word coward is applied to us is because coward basically means someone who abandoned their responsibility as protector. Their responsibility to put themselves in harm's way to render aid, that's what we expect from the men, because by definition, if the men are not the rescuers in the society, then the society is open to being overrun. If a man does not accept his responsibility as protector, then the society will very quickly be overrun. So he must accept this if the society is going to survive. Well, as females, you must have accountability. You have to be accountable for the quality of children that you've raised, the quality of home you have built, because the women are, just as the men are the guardians of the women and the children, the women are supposed to be the guardians of the society's values and the society's virtues. And right now, the women have said the values are whorehouse values. Well, here's the problem with that, folks, and you can write this one down because this is another Jason Blackism. Men do not put themselves in harm's way for dishonorable women. Folks, men do not place themselves in harm's way for dishonorable women. Men place themselves in harm's way for honorable women, not dishonorable ones. Men risk life and limb when men face bullets and arrows and flames for the honorable women, because he is not risking his life for your damn ovaries. Your ovaries are worthless. He is risking his life because he respects the value of the honorability that you carry. Notice I did not say represent. Either you got it or you don't. He's putting himself in harm's way for that. This is the reason why you see fewer men than ever placing themselves in harm's way, because we don't see the honorability that sacrificing ourselves requires. Women, your honorability is not optional. We require that. As men, it is required in order for us to biologically respond in the manner that puts ourselves in harm's way. We're not risking our lives for you. We are risking our lives for the honorability that you carry. If you become a dishonorable, lying, thieving, avaricious, greedy, unempathetic, self-absorbed, narcissistic individual, there goes our willingness to sacrifice ourselves for you. Inversely, the more honorably you carry yourself, the more it's biological. We don't even have to think about it. So on the one hand, I am very sorry that your mother is yet another example of toxic femininity and vulture gutter culture. That's a very sad thing, but I want you to understand that now the choice is in your hands. At some point, you have to take your parents as what they are. They are your parents, they're not your gods. And you have to measure them where they actually are. At some point, all they are is an anecdotal example. And manhood requires that you stop projecting them larger than that, because you're putting them in a position where you're supposed to be. I said this to the young man here a few days ago. At what point do the rules of your life come from and originate from you, not from your parents? At what point are these your rules that you develop for your life? At what point does that happen? When does that occur? That you say, you know what, Mom, Dad, I'll take it from here. When does that occur? Or do you spend the rest of your life saying, I need them for this, that, and the other? This is why families are supposed to raise their sons to be the leaders in the family, that literally, if you woke up one day and both of your parents got totaled out, the family continues going. Because you are not looking for your parents' leadership. You have assumed the position of leadership. Please understand, the key word there is assumed. Assumed the position of leadership. I did not say it was given to you. I said you have assumed it. And there's a frightening word for a lot of people out there.
Right. Well, Jason, every time I don't even look at my mama though, because every time I look at her, I just feel, oh my goodness, why don't I even look at her? Every time I look at her, I just be pulling my head down to shame. I just be figuring every time I look at my mama, I just be like, man, I'm so ashamed of you for what you put me through.
Well, remember, your parents serve two purposes: showing you what to be and showing you what not to be. From there, it is up to you to digest and absorb those lessons, and then you start making the rules from here on in. Regardless, because let me be very, very clear, even when it comes to being a success in life, once again, like I was telling Dan, it doesn't matter how quote unquote great your parents may have been. If you say it's time for me to go left, and your parents say, no, we think you should go right, folks, we have a fundamental conflict here. My parents are saying I need to go to the right. I'm putting myself in harm's way. I'm being reckless. I'm this, that, and the other. My judgment says I'm going to the left. At this point right here, I don't care how quote unquote great you think your parents are. You're in the same situation as anybody else, because they're not supporting you. Now, do you still go this direction? Do you still go left? Even if you know you're not going to have your parents' support. What I'm telling you is you're not a man until you can do that. You have not become a man until you can make all of these decisions in your life, irregardless of what your parents think, in any way, shape, form, fashion, or manner. I don't care if you got a fantastic relationship. I don't care if you got a toxic relationship. You are not an adult until you can make all of these decisions with no regard to your parents. None. Until you get there, you have not achieved manhood. When you do get there, now you're a man. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller code 803. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Nicole.
Okay. Hello, Nicole. And where are you calling from, Nicole?
South Carolina.
Okay, Nicole. Where at in South Carolina are you calling from, Nicole?
Columbia, South Carolina.
All right, Nicole from Columbia, South Carolina. And what's on your mind?
I just want to say this topic is so great, because I find that even though some Black men may have, good parents and so forth, but a lot of times they won't step out and actually be be the man that they can, because one, their parents don't agree with the situation, or they were not taught to like take risks. So I find that more and more in the Black community. A lot of white, other races allow their children to go out, especially men, to go out and spread their wings. But a lot of times, just because the mom they don't want to disappoint the mom or make them feel like, their opinions really don't matter.
Well,
And
I mean,
think
it's a
that's
whole
lot of
lot
times
easier to spread your wings when you've been given opportunities to do so. It's a lot harder when you have, because every male has the desire to do so. But if you're not being afforded the same opportunities, they're just not there, then your drive and desire to do so isn't really going to overcome that. Case in point. I've got some dudes right now, they want to be investment bankers. That's great. That's wonderful. I'll do the best I can to help them with that. But what they don't understand is that having their Series 7s or whatever, yeah, that's a part of it, but that's not going to determine if you're a successful investment banker. Well, what will? The majority of deals in the investment world are not done in boardrooms and skyscrapers. They're done at country clubs. They're done at civic clubs. They're done at cocktail parties. Things you have to be invited to. Things that are not protected by the Equal Rights Amendment or the equal opportunity. It's not protected by that. If you don't have the right connections, you can't get there. If you can't have these folks to give you those opportunities, you will not be successful in this field. So I understand what you're saying. I will just say that's a component of it. Now, the part that you're talking about is, well, what if they only have any drive at all? Now that's something right there that the environment is supposed to give you. Your parents are supposed to encourage you to be able to do that and to deal with that, so that you've got drive and ambition, and that you're saying, I want to build on what my fathers and mothers have done. That's something you need to be given. And when you have a bunch of females, ladies, you gotta hold this L. When you have a bunch of females who are more concerned about preserving themselves than they are about preserving their sons, then in the process you end up losing both. You have a bunch of females who are not worthy of protecting, and then you have sons who can't protect anyone, including themselves.
Right. And I find, regardless of what, us as a community deal with and Black men have to deal with, especially here in America, we become overbearing where it stunts their growth. Yes, we want them safe. Yes, we want them happy, but they still have to go out into the world and explore. And I know they mean well, but at the same time, when they become these men that have to go in these homes with women and produce their own children, you can see that. You see where, you came from, it's something lacking there because of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line is, as men, we consider your son is not a man until the other men have approved of him. A mother cannot give her son status. Your son has no status until we, the other men, show that we admire him and respect him. Now he's got status. A single mama sitting up here trying to extol the virtues of the little sapsucker that she raised doesn't mean anything. Your word means nothing. Show me the men who respect him and admire him, who look up to him. And then you're going to have to show me whether or not those men are worth anything. Because if he's a loser and he's looked up to by other losers, well, guess where that came from? You see, status isn't something that you can give yourself. Status requires an audience. It requires others. It requires others to have that. And as men, we don't consider your son to be a success until he's demonstrated leadership ability. If the only thing your son can do is follow and cower and toe the line, we consider him to be a failure. You never saw a group of men who said, I really admire that guy for his ability to follow. I really admire his ability to be the fifth on the chain. Nobody ever said that. So when we take a look at your son, we can actually see it by the time he's 8 or 10 years old. We can see whether he's got everything he needs or whether he doesn't. Turn off your speakers, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving us the call. Mama might be sitting there trying to pretend that she did a great job because she's in denial. Baby, your kids are being mocked and every damn thing else. They got the mama's boy mushroom, and it's like, okay. Men cannot admire. We can feel sorry for your little mama's boy. We can feel sorry for your son husband, but that doesn't mean that we admire him. We can pity him. But just because we pity him doesn't mean we admire him. So you might be okay with the little limp, lame, beta, buck broken mama's boy bastard baby you raised. The rest of the world is repulsed by him. He's weak. He can't lead. And the rest of the world, including men, we need him to have the ability to lead. If we're building a bridge, we need to know that if something happens to us, he can take over today, not tomorrow. He can take over right now, and the work and the mission continues uninterrupted. Those are the men that we admire and respect. Those are also the women that the chicks from whorehouse culture, they admire that too. And then they go off and cultivate their sons to be exactly the type of male that they themselves would never want. Exactly the type of male that they themselves are disgusted by. That's the sick dynamic of the mother-wife and the son-husband. She neuters him and coddles him and weakens him to turn him into exactly the type of male that she herself despises. She would never follow him. She certainly wouldn't be looking for him to be protector and provider of anything. She's turned him into the kind of male that she herself would never want. And then she sends him out here into the world to be one of the guys that all you females listening to me right now get to choose from. You get to go pick him from the litter of his mother's upbringing. He gets to walk out in the world as one of your options now. She would never take that little bastard she raised to be her man, but she has no problem sending him out there to you. Well, yeah, because what she wants from her son isn't the same as what you want from him. She wants a loyal lapdog who will be available unless or until she can scumbag her way up on a viable option. But that's not what you want from her son. You need him to be ready. She just wants him to be around, to keep her company. You don't want that man to keep you company. You want him to lead. She doesn't want her son to lead because men who lead eventually leave. Men who lead will eventually leave. And she can't afford for her only masculine image around to do that. Not until she's ready. Then she throws him to the wolves. Then she throws him to the dogs. That's what it becomes then. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our Patreon, the link is in the description. We'll be doing it here tomorrow, 12 noon Central Time. Definitely you're invited to do that as well here. Also, for the record, I'm also going to be looking here. We're coming up on the end of the year. I've had some females here who have contacted me, some of my ladies here. I'm going to be looking for some female personal fitness trainers who actually look like they're good for the job and ready for it here. So coming up here, I'm going to be looking for some female personal fitness trainers. I got some chicks here who are looking to try to get themselves together. So that's going to be something here really we'll be looking for here in the future. So keep your eyes and your ears open. And if you think you qualify for that kind of thing, I'll be putting the call out for that. By the way, please remember that we're going to have to see the proof in the pudding here. So if you look like Lizzo and you have begun your fitness trainer journey along with your weight loss journey, holler back at us in a little bit. Keep your eyes and ears open for that as well. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo, Marlon S., and everyone else. Marcel Johnson, thank you very much. Jason Edwards, and this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.